just to give some initial housekeeping type of announcement. So we have very eminent panelists today. Mr. Ganesh Mani, the Director of Production of Hyundai Motors India Limited. Mr. G Kumaradevan, Executive Director, IT and Digital, Saint-Gobain India Private Limited. And Mr. Chulanga Perera, Chief Information Officer of Daimler India Commercial Vehicles Private Limited. Very eminent people, very, very well-known companies, probably the pride of India, pride of Tamil Nadu. All these companies are actually stalwarts in their own area of business, and also known to be doing very advanced, very much ahead in the area of digital transformation, smart factories. I think I would like to congratulate the Coimbatore zone CAI to have brought these eminent panelists today for this program. So my personal welcome to Mr. Ganesh Mani, Mr. Kumaradevan, and Mr. Chulanga Perera. During the program, as you see, is up from 10 o'clock to 11:20. So each panelist will take about 15 minutes and then give their special address. Then we will have a time for about 20 minutes time for discussion. So those of you who have got questions, please type in the Q&A if you go to the the three dot thing, if you press, you will see a Q&A this one, so you can go and type the questions. So I will moderate the questions during the discussions, and I actually would also like to congratulate the CAI Coimbatore zone for initiating a topic of this type for this program, for this day, because it's very, very relevant now. Because personally, I believe the fourth industrial revolution or industry 4.0 is a great opportunity for India to lead the world. Unlike the first three revolutions which we missed out, in this case, we are actually in a very strong position with a very excellent talent pool of people coming up from the campus with the highly digital savvy capabilities. With so much of improvement in the reduction in the prices of sensors and all those hardware and software items, plus India's ability to do the frugal innovation in investing, implementing those things, it is an excellent opportunity for India and Indian companies to apply these techniques to lead the world. The second point I would like to highlight is that normally in manufacturing, we are particular about focusing on the PQCDMS, the production, productivity, quality, cost, delivery, morale, and safety. In every aspect of these KPIs, the smart factory initiatives or industry 4.0, whatever we call, this has a it can make a biggest impact in improving the productivity in the factories, achieving a 0 ppm in the factories by making all these systems intelligent and make them to talk to each other, and whatever we want to build in the production process in terms of quality robustness, it's absolutely possible. The same case with the safety or efficiency or anything that you want to improve in the factories. I think my own experience says that this is an excellent tool for all of us to apply and achieve the results. And from that perspective, we have the subsequent two panel discussions, which is largely from the people who are actually the solution providers. So first panel is essentially the people who are applying these technologies and techniques in their factories, and they are sharing their best practices. And the second two panels actually essentially will be dealing with from the people who are actually going to provide solutions. So the audience, I'm sure, will be extremely benefited by listening to them. and interacting with them, and will be able to apply. The third point I would like to highlight is also more very relevant at this time when now it becomes extremely difficult to have too many people in the shop floor because of the need to maintain social distancing. In terms of again, this comes to our help in multiple ways to achieve our objective of our capacity and production of much lesser headcount, because again a lot of things can be done through the automation possibilities that this will provide, whether it is RPA, whether it is reducing the manual work content. Every dimension this helps us. So from all perspectives, this is the right approach at this time. So I wish all the participants an excellent learning today. So I also would learn from the panelists. So now over to the panelists. First, I would like to request Mr. Ganesh Mani, Director of Production, Hyundai Motor India Limited, to take us through his presentation. Welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kaniappan, my senior fraternity, from auto industry, and all the other panelists. I hope I'm absolutely audible.
Yes.
Great.
Very much.
My greetings to all the other members who have joined here, and also the lot of attendees who have come, who have taken out time to be a part of this. To deliver my thoughts on embracing the transformation and smart shifting. The topic itself is really, enthusiastic. I'm also very thankful to CII for naming this as e-conference rather than the webinar. But ever since I saw yesterday's Sri Anand Mahindra's tweet that that the word of webinar should be deleted from the dictionary. So I think with so many things which keeps going ahead, it's always good to have some different name of e-conference. I hope I'll add some value to this. This today's topic is pretty interesting, so I thought I should cover from our standpoint of view as a whole country, where do we, and the way how industry is trying to gear up, more specifically from my standpoint of view of Hyundai's, and also what is the way forward for smart factories itself. As you all know that, Korea and India, more specifically Tamil Nadu, has got a lot of connectivities between them. I was very surprised to know that at least minimum, what I come across is minimum of 200 to 300 words of both languages of Tamil and Hangul, which is Korean language, has got a lot of matching. So I thought I'd start off with one proverb which they keep quoting, the way what we also keep doing it. It says that Shimyun Yimyun Gangzando Yun Handa. Basically, it tells that even the rivers and mountains, over the period of 10 years, they change the course. The way they look will get changed. River takes a different kind of a path altogether. So who are you as a humankind? Don't have too much thoughts in your mind that you are indispensable. That's what it says. But I believe COVID-19 has taken less than 5 months to entirely change the course of the way how we live our life, and harsh reality of how in the factories how we operate also. So it took less than 5 months, and of course we are in the second phase of revival, and how long it's going to take till the time some medicine is available, some vaccination is available. I hope this will anyway continue to happen. So with that perspective, I think the timing of all these kind of seminars, e-conferences, and so-called webinars are going to be really useful to us to really cope up together as a whole unit. Especially it is very relevant for a state like Tamil Nadu, where there is a whole lot of industries are placed in, and thankful to the central and more specifically to Tamil Nadu government. I think we have been always, progressive and forthcoming, the way kind of support which we are seeing in the last couple of months, very specifically towards the COVID. So we are in lockdown 4.0 with a little bit of, relaxation to really operate upon, and henceforth from first onwards, whatever is going to happen. So that's what my topic would come. Always Benjamin Franklin said that out of diversity comes as an opportunity. So the most important thing, what happens is the reset and reshape phase. That's what I would call it as. The first phase of the initial 40 days could be of maybe safeguarding our own interest, our customers' interest, and our stakeholders' interest, more specifically employees' interest, and the people who have never even experienced of sitting at home and to keep all the workforce together engaged. That was one of the phases where the shaping of the safeguarding of interest has come in. Now the time of reset and reshape comes into picture. And as always, I'm an optimist. The COVID-19 has started from China, and the way China has responded as a customer, the economy is booming back in that country. I hope India also would definitely come back, and that's what even our Honorable Prime Minister said in his note today in the address to the nation. So, given these kind of climate, I always have two questions in my mind, and I'm trying to answer. I'm sure each one of you also would have answer to that. Will the recovery be as quick as 2018 or so? I mean, 2019 is anywhere a year where everybody had to really struggle hard, especially our industry. And again, the kind of a shape of the curve, whether it is U, V, W, L, all those things we have been hearing for many days. But I honestly believe and hope should be of either V or a U. So from that standpoint of view, if you bisect any of these two, the first bisect on the left side one is always the downward trend where we need to really focus on the way how we have been moving across. That's what I said. That is a phase where each one of us were trying to safeguarding ourselves, more specifically our customers, communicating to them, and other stakeholders like our vendor partners. If you talk about our own industry or my own company, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, more than 100,000 people around the world, so specifically. And also equipment is also one area where we cannot keep the everything shut. We can't restart that. How things can keep moving up, and more specifically the employees' mindset, how we engage them in a big way. That itself is a big story. But cutting across that to move on, because that clearly indicates, like the way cricket ball when it is being thrown upon to the batsman, the way on which the thrust on which it comes into the downhill shows the way how it takes back, bouncing back to surprise the batsman itself. I think that is what the phase that we are in, but it all depends on the moment on which we are actually hitting the ground, and that determines how much is the acceleration. We can always take it back when it actually comes as a rebound. I think that is what the phase I believe we are in. I'm pretty happy that being a pioneer in the industry, the kind of bouncing back has been phenomenal. 800 odd dealers have already been opened up in from Hyundai, and 900 plus workshop, which is close to 70 to 80% of our entire fleet is up. We have 20,000 booking. Customers are really buoyant, and we have already delivered more than 7,000 vehicles. And 100,000 customers, they drove the vehicle and came to all our workshop to really get the vehicle serviced. And as far as the manufacturing is concerned, using government's absolute protocol, given the norms of both central and state government, and we have started with 8th May with a humble, numbers of 200 to begin with. Incidentally, when I quoted this in one of my social, network, it immediately got 100,000, viewership and the responses. I think on a normal day it would have been a half an hour production for me. But each and every person in this country is so much happy and optimistic in the way they actually accepted and acknowledged it now. So maybe that things are going ahead, and 5,000 plus exports, equal number of domestic volumes are going to go up. So that clearly indicates that the kind of a journey where we are actually moving across, and that's what I would always call it as the momentum on which we started. The momentum on which you manage to really face this pandemic will determine that how quickly, how fast we can actually rebound it back. So that's one of those things I wanted to share. And each one of the companies who are present here and as a whole country, I'm 100% sure that this is what the success story would be as well. But there are plenty of other challenges also. We need to really cope up with this, and how post-lockdown 4.0 tomorrow onwards things could look into. So we'll always be hopeful about various other aspects as well. But now coming back to the topic of today, which is embracing a transformation, a smart shift. So the moment a smart comes into picture, so being an engineer and an operational management MBA, so I immediately thought, what in terms of smart shift comes in terms of the first M, which is man, which is more predominantly the kind of a mindset what we wanted to create in them, and what kind of a smart shift, the way method, keeping as rightly said by Mr. Kaniappan, social distancing aspect kept as a part of our methodology, and smart shift in the machines of the way, how it is going to be operated, the way how we have been operating across, and more specifically, and also smart shift the way supply chain is being going across. So please give me a moment to really, explain on certain thoughts which I believe, and in my experience of, 3 weeks of running, how we can actually work it across. So smart shift in mindset comes from the very specific focus on the way purpose and the routine and the hope. In all these things ends with E, which is actually emotional part of it. And if these positive emotions, if you're able to maintain in all these 3 areas, being it as pre-COVID period or during this transition period, and also post-COVID period also, if you're able to keep that aspect in our mind, probably collectively forward, we can always take it, to the next level. New set of, rules come into picture, because having experienced 2-3 weeks of, operations, I also like to share that we used to say that united we stand, divided we fall. But now with the social distancing comes into picture, divided we live and united we fall, only from the physical perspective, but mentally we need to get more stronger and connected. That's what the message, we are trying to cutting across to all of our employees, all of our stakeholders. And that clearly indicates that, shift the way how we used to see the world, and shift the way how, currently is going on and coming forth also when we start working on a full shift of, full swing of operations as well. The way smart shift of methods and all the other things is all about. So, SOPs are in place. We always give lot of importance to the ways how safe we operate upon. Now, safe and infection-free would be the environment I think we need to focus upon. That brought in whole lot of, different kind of new opportunities for us to work upon, and also new kind of mechanisms to really, keep working on the way how we see the operations as well. And also when you think about the smart shift in nations, that's what probably today's conference could be of very much useful. And, someone was talking about, it may seem very, very inappropriate to talk about Industry 4.0 at this moment of time, where every company is, in the mode of a survival first, foremost, and beyond that, then damage limitation and keep going ahead. But I strongly believe, honestly, is that is the Industry 4.0 relevant anymore, first of all, or is it relevant? Why is it relevant? And how soon is it relevant? My short and a firm answer would always be yes, and immediate attention would definitely be required. As we always talked about, there are 3 different phases of survival, and then recovery, and business as usual, when it comes into a post-crisis paradigm. And more specifically, when you talk about the 3rd phase, where we believe soon is going to happen, and, by working on towards on what we are going to do. Let me quickly talk about the way how Industry 4.0 and COVID can interconnect in a very big way. The first and foremost is we need more of a real-time visibility into availability of raw materials, finished goods, WIPs, people, and assets, more from the standpoint of your zones of red, orange, and green, which keeps changing every 2 hours. And how soon it's going to settle down, we are also not very clearly aware of it. And how far, we can keep our machines and machine to really become smart enough not to depend on too many people crowding across, how remotely we can access across, and how artificial intelligence can actually move across. And the third important point is the robotic process automation, which is prevalent in most of the other industries, not really related to manufacturing. But the time has come to really start working on how we can actually support a non-value add labor-intensive activities also. That's one of the very big, challenge, as well as it's a huge opportunity how we can really do this, in a big way. And use of a mobile technology and augmented virtual reality to train the new set of people who are going to come, more specifically when so many migrant, workers have shifted their bases. Now we need to really hire more number of people or bring them back to the normal routine of it. I think this is going to really play a very important role. Some of the areas like, the smart, similar kind of technologies together with the digital twins and remote support from the OEMs will definitely, improve the availability of assets as well. And, if you were thinking about 3D printing, the importance of 3D printing is phenomenally has gone up because in general, all these prototype samplings and all keep coming from various parts of the world and if not countries. And there are so many other restrictions, and if anything happens, it hampers. So these 3D printing technology is becoming a very important and at most urgent at this point of time. And all the other things related to automation. Automation we used to see from a different standpoint. Now keeping social distancing standpoint of view, you need to have more automation on the process. I think these are all the areas that we can always keep working. In a nutshell, I believe for an auto industry, for the matter, any of the industries, and more specifically in our part of India, investment in digitalization and manufacturing should be viewed as a risk mitigation techniques rather than an investment point of view. I think it's more like an insurance for our company to keep running so that it regains stability and keep moving ahead. And smart shift in supply chain and material. I don't have to talk about it, but I'd like to finish off with one story of how Korea has actually managed during Korean War. They call it as a golden hour concept. When the forefront of the soldiers are fighting, the hospital used to be in a constant place away from the battlefield. Many of the soldiers, they found it to be getting injured, shifting across in the mid pathway. They used to have a lot of lives lost, and also they used to lose the time also. So for that, what they simply did is just behind the force, they started having medical camps together, moving along with the battlefield. They also keep moving ahead. That really helped them to really save a lot of lives, and also they were able to help moving ahead. So that's what the new concept coming across is. It's an all-part, geographical backup concept. It's not only throughout the world, and it also within India, locally local kind of a concept. Are we really working towards that? That requires a little bit of time and energy, but I'm sure. I think that is what one area where the entire, India, more specifically, our part of the world need to really work upon. So to conclude quickly, I think my time is up. So I always call manufacturing, is always similar to the living ecosystem. As like in nature, nothing ever stays the same. The way we manufacturers work will also definitely change. It has already been changed. And more specifically, change is the only constant in the world. We said that even seas and mountain changes, and COVID has already accelerated that change in movement. How we are all going to take it forward much more in a bolder way, in a courageous way, and also together. That's what is most important as a whole together. And CI is playing a very important role in that. I'm 100% sure that we can always keep the manufacturing curve up. And in that process, probably we can take this country to the next level of, possibility of, progressive also. So let us all embrace this smart transformation. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'll be open to any kind of questions you have. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hyundai is always an inspiration in terms of speed and agility, the way you are actually bouncing back. Actually, it's a big, as I said, inspiration to the industry itself. Thank you for sharing your perspective on smart shifting. There are some questions, maybe during the discussions, we will take it up.
Sure.
So now we will move to the next panelist, Mr. G Kumaradevan, Executive Director, IT and Digital, Saint-Gobain India Private Limited. Over to you, sir.
Hello, Arshad.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, sir, we'll do that.
Yeah, I just have a short presentation.
Send your presentation
I'll
also.
share my screen and I got my.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think the screen is blank. Yeah,
Okay.
it's ready. It's coming.
Now, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kaniappan. It's a pleasure and honor to be of this panel.
Sir, you are breaking, sir.
Yeah, voice is breaking.
I will really help manufacturing to get back on its feet much faster and then in a very short time. So, with
Sir,
this
actually,
formal
we
introduction, let me
couldn't
start
hear you for
my
about a minute.
presentation.
We had some difficulty to
I mean,
hear you. Now okay, but we had some challenge so far in hearing what you are saying.
is it?
Yeah, now it's clear.
Okay, anyway, I'm going to talk about what the situation in the last 2 years, how we had been using the new digital technologies to improve our operations, what areas that we were focusing, and then how we propose to accelerate, if at all, in the post-COVID scenario, how we propose to accelerate using digital. So this will be the theme of my presentation. So the digital continues to disrupt manufacturing processes in more than one way. There are many disruptions that are happening. I think, Mr. Kaniappan, you touched upon some of this in your introduction. Big data, then analytics is an important area. Then we have the new forms of human-machine interface, ever-growing influence of social networks, which today we see the use of that in the current scenario where people work from home. Most of us work from home. This is really becoming as a big enabler for managing this. The ubiquitous mobile devices, the Internet of Things, and so on and so forth. So this manufacturing will continues to be transformed by the disruptive digital technologies in the coming years. So the ubiquitous connectivity and interactions between human machine is ever increasing. So today we have the ever-growing influence of the IoTs in the shop floor, sensors, actuators, getting connected to the factory network. Ganesh spoke about robotic process automation. There are plethora of technology which can come to the rescue of manufacturing to really accelerate the recovery post the current scenario. The IoT has the highest potential of all the domains. McKinsey has predicted by 2025 there should be at least $3 to $4 trillion opportunity specifically in manufacturing. As you can see, the highest potential is there in the factories for the IoT. So there is no doubt about this, and this is the background in which we are working. So there are wide areas of application. I think many of you already experienced it in the last. Digital is not something new. I think most factories they have started practicing or transforming to digital in the last 2 years now. People have started projects, small and big initiatives everywhere. So digital has significant applications across all functions of manufacturing, as you can see here. So what we have done here in Saint-Gobain in India with respect to Industry 4 digital, I am going to briefly touch upon the key initiatives to give an idea. So I think from 2002 till now, so this is the diagram. What you see in the top is what I have picked up from McKinsey. So they have predicted how things should be moving. This is a pretty dated diagram, but I see it's very relevant for most of our industries. Like for example, we have been moving exactly the same trajectory, starting from the 2002 when we were in an analog world with ERPs and CRMs, to the pre-web and then the web world with EDI and the traditional businesses when they went online, and then going to the customers, digital marketing. In 2020, there is a blurring of boundary between the physical and digital world with more and more sensors on the shop floor. So at the bottom, you see the different applications that Saint-Gobain, we in India had been developing, and our trajectory of progress in digital area is exactly following the same trajectory. This is something which I want to talk about. So how we started way back in 2017 by taking digital to all the managers across the domains. So through newsletters and videos, constant communication from the digital team to all the functional managers, then conducting workshops at different locations within the country and different factory areas to explore opportunities for digital, and then creating touch and feel. We have created the centers of excellence, learning centers at different locations to enable people to have a touch and feel to what digital is all about. What do we talk when people talk about sensors or energy management or condition monitoring? So what we really mean. So this is what we created to create the awareness among our managers with respect to the digital experience. This started way back in November 2017. From there, we started defining our strategy. So we decided to work in three vertical domains: smart automation, smart data, and empowered employees. So these are very clearly three. All our projects in digital are aligned to these pillars. When we do low-cost automation using the available technologies today, and we use the technology to analyze the enormous amount of data that we collect in all our manufacturing systems to help people to take smart decisions in the shop floor, and also empower employees through mobility and all the new generation tools to become smarter. And our key result areas, I think, again, this was touched upon by both Mr. Kaniappan as well as Ganesh. We have health and safety, environment, reliability, industrial efficiency, quality and process control, customer focus, people development. So all our projects produce results in these areas. This is what we set out as a strategy for us when we started the digital journey way back in 2018 in the beginning. And then we identified these areas of opportunity with smart production, monitoring, execution, smart warehouse, smart logistics. I'm going to talk about quickly the key projects that we have undertaken under this area of opportunity in various factories of Saint-Gobain. So this is our roadmap for journey into digital. Then we started working with different groups, manufacturing managers, the logistics managers, supply chain, every domain, to explain them the technologies that are relevant to their area, and then what kind of projects that we can look at. For example, when we talk about plant operations digitalization with IoT, machine to machine, we said, you can look at self-adapting lines, and we have many examples of where we have used the technology that is available to today. These technologies are available themselves, and how these technologies are leveraged at a low cost to have self-adapting lines, to create some simple digital twins to help the managers to take better decisions, analytics, predictive algorithms that are available on the shelf, automatic identification. So we used a framework for identifying the opportunity areas and then quickly set up projects in each of these opportunity area to really start working on them. We also formed a competency group within by creating a new team of young engineers who will start working on these technologies. I will talk about that organization part a little bit later. So I'm going to give you quickly some examples of what have been done in the past 3 years, I would say. So the digitalization of plant operations, there are plenty of opportunities, as you can see, in terms of collaborative planning optimization, and automated execution from planning to scheduling to execution. Real-time monitoring of equipment. Today, this is made possible by connecting our factories through the ubiquitous Wi-Fi and mobile devices towards smarter decisions. Safe operations enabled by visual SOPs and mobile apps. As you can see here, this is one, in the picture you see a safety audit being conducted by the EHS manager using a mobile device when people work. So this is one example how mobility is being leveraged in the new era. Then support to skill building by video training and simulation is another area where we have done work. Then also plant maintenance assisted by e-work instruction section. So basically what I'm saying is this, everywhere where we had manual documents, the manual way of training, these are all getting replaced through virtual training and mobility enabled platforms to train operators, to upskill them, to conduct audits as you're seeing, to improve our operations continuously. This is one of the first things that I would like to talk about. The next thing is about how we empower the operators to take smarter decisions. As you can see, here is an example workstation for making automotive glass, where we make the automotive glass here. We also make it in Chennai. So here, as you can see, this is our model workstation where the operator gets information about whatever relevant for him in terms of quality, in terms of work instructions, safety, tools, methods, everything available to him using devices that are connected to him. And the way that we are able to process data and then give quick decision to the operator. Like for example, you see a screen where the defect map of the windshield is depicted graphically instead of the complex histograms once we used to have. So this is one way that we are leveraging the smart data platform to enable operators to take quick decisions. And then mobility comes into picture, where real-time updates on plants and warehouses, which used to be once people going and taking information on paper from different parts of the warehouse, supply chain, or warehouse technicians going collecting information manually, coming back and keying them into the computers. All these are getting replaced through mobility devices. As you can see, Orion is our warehouse management platform, which is completely mobile enabled. We use iPads as well as the barcode enabled terminals for smart execution of the warehouse tasks, etc. Then also using the technology that is available today to visualize the complete operation. So here you see a visual factory where the stock of glass in the complete warehouse is graphically depicted, which will help the warehouse operators and production operators to go and pick what they want with confidence, with better decision support. So these are being enabled today, all because today we have the ability to connect our warehouses entirely through the Wi-Fi and also through mobile devices. So of course, which are all the offshoot of the digital technologies Industry 4. Then also the logistics benefits with the GPS and RFID that we are able to leverage today to track our trucks that are going onto the market on the field. Today we are able to track each truck that delivers material to the customer. We're able to inform the customer in advance about a truck reaching their location for unloading, preparation of unloading. Similarly, a truck coming to the factory, the supervisors in transportation getting to know. So we have opportunities here, plenty of opportunities. And then we have a platform to energy, of course, is one important element in our operations. We have a huge energy consumer, so we have energy management platform which is developed internally to monitor, measure, optimize, contextualize energy. And then the real-time monitoring application. This is one example of a digital twin of a process which we have created. Where the process managers can view the process parameters wherever they are, within the factory or their home, to take and give better instructions and take better decisions. So, and also real-time OEE dashboards in the shop floor for, again, driving productivity, improving quality, etc. So, and also last but not the least, the digital assistance for the operators to support their activities. So I have given a flavor of the different kind of initiatives that the factories can take to transform from the past mode to the future mode using the available digital technologies. So I just gave a glimpse, and then I will quickly summarize for the paucity of time. So in your place, what are the questions that you should ask with respect to this digital transformation? So ask how digital will disrupt my industry in the next 3 years. What will happen, and what is the value for my company in this transformation, and how close it is, and then where we should make investments. I think in the current day scenario, with the pandemic ending, I think this is even more relevant. So we have to really look at where to make investments, what new capabilities and skills that we should build. Of course, the work from home and remote working with social distance is going to be the thing of the real thing of future. So we need to really see what capabilities and skills and mindset we have to instill in the workforce, and what are the areas that we should pilot. So these are some of the questions that every industry should ask. And then I'm summarizing and I'm concluding. This is my last slide. I want to give you these pointers. What are the key takeaways from this short session? Okay, to enable and to really succeed in this transformation, some of our lessons I'm trying to summarize here. We need to find champion within the organization. Within each factory, we should find a champion for this digital transformation, inevitable. And then creating awareness among the manufacturing managers, as I showed you, through different initiatives, and also reskill IT. So this is one key thing. Suppose if you want to really succeed in digital transformation, the large companies should really invest in reskilling their IT for the new transformation. Build a bimodal IT organization, while the classical IT will continue to run your ERP and CRMs, etc. Whereas you need to have an agile team to support your digital transformation. Identify opportunities and define projects. More important is also to ensure a very strong business ownership. Unless this is there, projects are not going to succeed. We are not going to get funds for the project. And then choose right-sized external partners. Of course, from time to time, depending on the area, we have to work with external partners, inevitable. But we need to be very careful and choose the right-sized partners who will work with us for our success. And then encouraging the teams to experiment with emerging technologies, even if they are not immediately useful. This is something which we constantly try. We allow teams to fail, but they have to continue to experiment, even though the technology may not be relevant immediately, but definitely will find a use for each in the future. Building or subscribing to an IIoT platform is inevitable again, because anything and everything that you do has to be connected to IIoT platform to really leverage it. So we have built our own IIoT platform. Then we have to invest in analytics. At the end of the day, you're going to collect a lot of information. Unless you're able to analyze it and feed back into the process, you're not going to succeed. And then the last but not the least is to critically review the apps and dashboards every 6 months and continuously improve, because nothing is going to be remaining permanent. Change is constant. So what we develop today may not remain relevant forever. So we have this philosophy of reviewing each of our app and dashboard every 6 months to continuous improvement. So and finally, the most important thing is don't forget cybersecurity, because the moment you open up your industrial network, your machine networks, shop floor to the internet, so you are going to have vulnerabilities. So give utmost importance to cybersecurity. See, these are some of the lessons that we have learned, and this is what I wanted to share with you in this short session. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be there to answer your questions at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think you very well shared your experience of the digital transformation that you have taken up at Saint-Gobain in the last 2 years. We know Saint-Gobain is one of the leading companies in this digital transformation. Particularly your slide on the takeaways for all the participants based on your experience, which is more relevant to the participants here. I think it's an excellent way of sharing your experience to this team in a very short time. So I would like to thank you once again. So we'll come back to you with questions.
Thank you.
Participants, I think you have a way to ask questions through the chat box also, I think, because I don't know whether you have an active Q&A, but if you're not having access to the two options you have, you can raise the hand later in the discussion time. There is a you can click that raise the hand, or you can also type your questions in the chat box also. Thank you. So now we'll move to the third panelist, Mr. Chulanga Perera, CIO of Daimler India Commercial Vehicles. Over to you, Mr. Perera. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible and you are able to see my short presentation as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. I think, the panelists earlier have touched upon the topic quite extensively, and I hope I don't spend too much time on the redundancies. But just to begin with, I hope everyone who's viewing and who have joined, they're all well, healthy, your families are safe. My name is Chulanga Perera, and I work as the CIO for Daimler India Commercial Vehicles. We are a part of the Daimler AG organization. We fall under trucks, and we manufacture brands such as Mercedes-Benz, Freightliner, Fuso, Western Star, Thomasville buses. And in India, in Chennai, we produce the Bharat-Benz. So we cater to the Indian domestic market needs, and we also export to over 30 different markets. So today, what I will do is I'll talk about the current COVID situation a little bit, touch upon that, and then talk about understanding the impact this is going to have, and also then go on to smart factories a little bit. So the COVID that just took the world by a shock has kept us in a state of paralysis, right? If you look at it from a health perspective, economics, and geopolitics, all these three things coming together has caused a state of panic. And I think we now, more than ever, need to, one, embrace this, but also figure out how can we overcome this together, right? So it's already reshaping our world, right? And we as Daimler India Commercial Vehicles, or DICV, how do we deal with this? For us, we had three clear priorities. One was to safeguard the health of our employees, and then also to safeguard the health of the business, which means, the corona world that we are in, and if at all, at some point in the future, we go to a post-corona world. And also, what can we do to sort of contribute socially in CSR activities? But how do we manage all of this in the current situation? If you can see, everybody's facing issues in terms of managing costs, right? Cash is king. Of course, supply chain, which for all of us in India, I think localization becomes very important, right? And look at new innovative revenue streams and use this crisis as an opportunity. But one thing is very clear for us as Daimler, we want to lead with the long view. That means we do not compromise long-term for short-term gains. And this, I think, is very relevant. It doesn't matter which industry you're in. Take care of your employees, right? And adjust and reshape your business to accept any challenges it might come. So the world around us is changing, and I think most of you would have heard this thing about VUCA, right? We live in a VUCA world. It was already been discussed numerous number of times, but right now, VUCA is in full flow, right? Heavily volatile, it's very uncertain, complex, and nobody really knows how ambiguous the future is going to be. And a lot can change in the next 12 to 18 months. So now let's quickly just look upon how the COVID situation has impacted the Indian auto sector. Just before we were hit with the lockdown, I think everybody knows about the BS4 to BS6 norms, right? And globalization in terms of trade was getting impacted. There was societal impact. But now, with the new normal, what you can see is that technology and innovation will exponentially increase, and behavioral shifts will come into effect. Now, if you look at it, for example, social distancing that we talk about, right? Contactless delivery, right? Traveling will get reduced, and all of this will get embraced a little bit more by technology. In the auto sector, be it anywhere else. How did this really impact us? We see delays in our product launches, right? There is a subdued of demand. It doesn't matter whether it's the commercial vehicle industry or anywhere. It is in full effect. Overhanging of the BS6 compliance is there. Shortage of components. And then the two most important things for me is the shortage of manpower, with people relocating and also with the compliances that we have to abide with. There is a huge shortage. And then this can be supplemented in some way or form, but then there is a dying working capital need. This is why even in a couple of days, I think everybody would have seen in the news, Daimler India Commercial Vehicles agreed and signed an MOU with the Tamil Nadu state government to invest 2,277 crores into the state, right? Which means we have gone ahead and sort of shown that during these times as well, we are willing to invest. We do not compromise on our people at all, and we will continue to work towards evolving the auto segment. I always believe that speed is a strategy, right? You can beat any grandmaster in chess if you can move twice as fast as you can. Keeping this in mind, let's take a look at the roadmap for smart manufacturing. I think a lot of the use cases that were touched upon earlier by my previous panelists were very relevant. But what I'll talk about is on a high level, it doesn't matter which industry you're in, there are key cases, right? Of course, everybody talks about digital transformation or digital disruptors, but in order to get there, there are certain things you need to achieve before you set about being a digital disruptor. There's a clear difference between digitization, digitalization, and then the digital transformation. I always believe that you need to learn how to crawl before you run. Otherwise, doing everything will not make sense, right? So the conversion of a product to digital formats is your digitization, right? If you talk about digitalization, then this is the innovation of business models and processes that exploit the digital opportunities. And then you talk about your evolving technologies, right? And then you do the digital transformation where you reap benefits for the organization. But bear in mind that when digital transformation is done right, it's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. But when done wrong, all you have is a really fast caterpillar. This is something George Westerman of MIT Sloan says, and I think this is very, very relevant for us. So when you look at the world of uncertainty, you had the Brexit, you had the US presidential elections, there is geotension evolving now with China becoming a little bit normal, but other countries facing. Then you have the coronavirus, which means the need of the hour is now for smart, smart manufacturing, right? For manufacturers to be smart, but also flexible and green, right? This is how we will build a sustainable future. So for a strong foundation, we believe that, for smart factories, the base is having your foundation layer strong. Otherwise, it's like building a building, and you build everything and you construct a beautiful building, but your base is not solid, the building will collapse. And I personally believe that for a strong foundation, it doesn't matter which manufacturing segment you are in, speed is a necessity. We say that data is the new oil, right? There's an abundant amount of data around you and how you utilize that. We also have a 3P strategy, which means we break down our strategy in terms of people, product, and processes. And this is how we tackle it. Then we believe in technology and choosing the right technology. You have all the technology platforms, technology norms available to you, but you have to decide what is right for you, for your business, and within what you can invest. Just because the blockchain capabilities are there does not mean we need to implement blockchain use cases across the stream, right? Some use cases will make sense, some might not. And that is why it's very important for you to choose the right technology, and you choose the technology depending on the problem you have. You don't put in, technology for the sake of technology. I would kindly request everybody to please be on mute. And then what is also very important is ROI, right? Return on investment. So every focus investment needs to reap benefits. Everybody talks about ROIs of 12 to 18 months. But right now, during this COVID situation, in this VUCA world that we live in, maybe it's high time we reevaluate that. Funding is minimized, so you need to know where you invest and see if your ROIs are actually making sense with a strong business case. So when you talk about digital transformation, everyone talks about Industry 4.0, right? You had the Industry 1.0, 2, 3, and now we're at 4. Yeah, where we're talking about cloud computing, right? We talk about people reskilling, which is very important. The previous panelist touched upon the shop floor security, right? A lot of need of the hour is for mobile apps and wearable devices to sustain the social distancing norms, right? And there are some key Industry 4.0 technology pillars that we talk about. One is connectivity and computing powers. Next is the human-machine interface. Now, most of the machines are much, much smarter, which means we have more capabilities to tap into those machines, to the PLCs, and collect data to get insights, right? Then digital to physical information. If you look at majority of our plants, even our tools are connected, right? For quality purposes, to understand how certain cylinder head drilling machines work, right? Even nuts and bolts in the future could have little chips, beacons, for us to even understand how these function, right? And all of this is capped off with analytics and intelligence. Every day, when you look at your day-to-day surrounding, you are surrounded by a lot of data. And I don't think we are still fully capable of utilizing that data to make business decisions. So when we look at DICV, this is what is most important for us. First, gather clean data, make sure this data is available in a proper way, make sure our foundation is set up in terms of infrastructure, we make sure that our people have the right skills, and even now you need to make sure that your people are reskilled enough because certain jobs will become redundant in a couple of years. With AI coming forward, you need to safeguard your industry and your people. So you need to reskill them, give them the platforms to learn, right? And also take care of the security aspect and then leverage benefits out of the data you have. So for this, we have something called the digital factory layer. We have our backbone system layer, right? We have our modern user interfaces, and then we tap it off with our exponential technologies. Now you talk about IoT hubs, data lakes, AI, and your analytics. This is all there. When all these three modules come together on our manufacturing line, this is how we are able to become lean, efficient, and then become sustainable as well in the long run. These are some of the use cases. I won't touch upon them too much, but some things have been making sense for us in India. So a lot of the times within certain segments of the Daimler world, a lot of things are possible. In Daimler, we are very, very advanced in terms of adopting technology. In India, it's the same, but we also tap it with making sure that we enable our people to become efficient and drive results rather than replacing them, right? So there are a lot of assistance systems. There's, of course, analytics, which we talk about, but another area is in-plant logistics. We want this to be fully automated. Everybody talks about just-in-time, right? A fully digitalized e-Kanban, for example, right? Logistic coordinate systems. And then, of course, now, AGVs. With limited amount of people in the plant, we realize that we have to have these guided vehicles, right? Otherwise, transporting things, for example, from the warehouse to your assembly line become very difficult. So we also, in this foundation layer, have something called a connected X strategy, which means we connect literally everything that we can connect to monetize the data and drive business decisions based on data and facts. That has given us a lot of advantages over the years, and we will continue to invest to reap those benefits in the future as well. These are some use cases. If you look at it, there's 3D scanning that is available right now. There's 3D printing. I spoke about AGVs. And if you go into your operations and production line, these are things that will definitely add value. And it's high time we start investing because this is the need of the hour, right? In terms of training, in terms of collaboration, in terms of maintenance simulation, condition monitoring, if you call it, all of this falls in. We also recently, just as the COVID scenario was happening, we looked at looking at mixed reality for remote support. A lot of work is done not just from India, but across other Daimler plants across the world. We collaborate a lot with Germany, from the US, Japan, China, and for that, we now use the technology in terms of MR and HoloLenses for remote support. We are also inventing a lot in India, and the Indian workforce is very, very skilled and smart. And we've come up with a patented technology, which we call as the autonomous ECU flashing in production line, which means this happens over the air. So you personally don't need to be there, and you can literally flash any type of vehicle remotely. We also upgraded our existing virtual reality setup between Japan Research and Development Center and the Chennai Development Center to combat the travel restrictions. So if you look at it, all of this is coming together, and we've painted our picture, right, in terms of an integrated quality network, how post-COVID our plant here in Chennai is going to look like, right? If you look at it from the quality lab to a fully automated monitoring to in-plant logistics, right, automated reporting, everything literally falls into place. And this is how our digital integrated sort of supply chain looks like at DICV, right? If you look at it from an AI-based planning, right, AI for import parts, service level improvements, warehouse, truck utilization, this is all coming together now, and this is how our picture looks like for the future. We have our trucks connected with BS6, so we're getting a lot of data that we are sort of leveraging and giving back to our customers so that they can function better and they can reap benefits. And then internally, we're also using this. And all of this is falling together in our cloud platforms. We have a hybrid version of on-prem and cloud, and that is how we've painted the picture. So our transformation journey has evolved in the last 12 months, and it will continue to evolve. And I think the most important thing here is be flexible enough to adopt this change, right? I spoke about VUCA. If you do not change, that is when you become very, very vulnerable, and you will not be able to embrace the change that is coming. So reskill your people, have them understand the importance of technology, and reskilling doesn't mean just in IT or in operations. The entire organization needs to fall together, because otherwise innovation becomes stagnant. So the current situation, colleagues and everyone else out there, is that it calls for unconventional actions, right? So let's not forget, it's not an end, it's a new beginning, and there is a time after COVID, and I think we will all be ready for it. So with that, I conclude, and I'm ready to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perera. Speed is the new strategy. Data is the oil. Smart, flexible, and green. Very completely new dimensions. And in the post-COVID world, how the factories will look at it. Excellent, presentation. Thank you once again. Let's wait for the any questions from the delegates. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Now over to the participants. I have one question. Just a moment. As I said, you can raise your hand, or you can type in the chat box. I will. This is for Mr. Ganesh Mani from Mr. Ankur Chaudhuri. How do you see the technology will evolve and change the way we work in the immediate future?
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Ankur. I think this question is still relevant after seeing those two lovely presentations. I'm not sure. But probably in terms of prioritization, I will not get into the details of technologies. But in terms of prioritization, probably that's what your question is about. First and foremost, for any industry to work upon is the major most challenge of less than a meter. That is what each and every industry, be it is automotive, but automotive is slightly better off. But you talk about the electronics industries and all the other, chip manufacturing, I think they always have been working together. And over the years, the last 50 years, we've always been talking about how to reduce the wastages, how to reduce the distance between the parts, the people. So we worked and we evolved the technologies around this concept. And suddenly this is, creeped in. So the first and foremost immediate technology the industry would be looking forward to is to, avoid this situation as much as possible. So be it as the introduction of an automation, be it as cobots or robotization, instead of only talking only from the perspective of dexterity and dangerous and dirty jobs, I think this is one area I believe long and very important focus would come across. And the second thing, the question industry has been asking is, first and foremost is, why do you come to office? Probably this is the second technology which would creep in, like in software industry, anyway, it has been order of the day. But in manufacturing industry, we worked in the last 60 days, and we have been reaping a lot of benefits also. The average efficiency of a manufacturing engineer or R&D engineer is as good as close to 90 to sometimes it is more than 110%, because you can always interact with them. You can always map what is going on. So that is the second aspect of the technology would come in, whether you need to come to factory or not. I think that's the second thing I would believe. And third and most important thing is that's all the digital pre-assembling process would come. Someone talked about VR, but I believe the mixed reality would come into picture very quickly, which merges, conglomerates between the virtual reality and the physical layout. I think one presentation on Chulanga, one of the slides were really talking about that. And that is what is going to be the order of the day. Quickly, people will investment on that. And the third important thing is about the way remotely monitoring the maintenance process. So they have always been working on, quickly go to the space and try to understand the situation. So how far we can actually stay away from the machineries and how smartly we are avoiding that situation is going to be the order of the day. I think many of the slides of Mr. Devan was talking about. I think these are all the areas which I believe immediate future we need to concentrate upon, because if not this COVID, some other COVID would come. So I think as an industry, we need to work upon to keep our balls, the roles of the wheels of our industry to keep running across. Apart from all the other things of digital plant operations, logistics, GPS, e-work, digital plant operations related to a lot of other aspects which everyone has talked about. I think those things will come, and that depends on the companies' priorities. But I believe the top three focus would be the one which I believe that is what is going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now there's a question to Mr. Perera. Is it a good idea to visualize the factory like how Daimler did, to understand the current state, and can you brought it? The question is from Mr. Praveen Charles. Mr. Charles, in case you want to, you can also ask if you want. Mr. Perera, you are able to get the question. It says, is it a good idea to visualize the factory like how Daimler did, to understand the current state, and can you, I don't know what it means, brought it. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So for me, I think it was very important that I am able to visualize or plan it out. I'll use a simple example. You have a plot of land, and if you want to build a house, the first thing you do is go to an architect and figure out how it's supposed to look, right? So my end vision, or the light at the end of the tunnel, was for me to visualize how the factory is going to look like, and then how can technology enable this factory. So we looked at, and it's not that easy. We have to first analyze the as-is factory, the as-is processes, visualize the end state, and then build a roadmap of achieving it. So right now, we are somewhere in the middle. We've analyzed how our factory looks like, right? We analyze the shortfalls. We understand the loopholes in our processes, and we know where we want to achieve now, which is the end goal, which is the picture you saw. And now we have a plan on how to achieve that now in the next 12 to 18 months. It's not exponentially growing as such. And over the course of time, you will have to rechange. It's very important to understand this. And something I always tell my organization is, it's not the end of the world. And you have to be flexible enough to change it. I use the example of maps, Google Maps or anything, right? Everybody uses maps. If you, think about using a map, you put an end destination, and in case you take a wrong
low with bandwidth or local computer conditions. CPU.
Mr. Perera, you are able to hear us? Arshad from CAI looks like
Yes, sir. I think he's facing some network issues.
So this is also probably an indication that the physical visit to the sites would never be unavoidable. So maybe technology can help to a certain extent. So
yeah.
So shall we move to the next question, or we can wait?
Yeah, I think these are okay. There's next question from just a minute. This is to Mr. Chulanga and Kumaradevan from Harish Kamath. Is this as a startup intelligent automation platform? Is there an opportunity to collaborate with the manufacturing companies? Maybe Mr. Kumaradevan, you can take that.
Yeah, I think I would say yes, because I don't know the details of this platform. But today, companies like us are clearly looking at startups for very niche solutions. In fact, our digital manufacturing competence center is located in the IIT Madras Research Park. We primarily located it there because of the availability of a huge ecosystem of startups available in that area. So, of course, we continue to work with many startups. We have internal programs which continue to identify such startups with very niche solutions. And this is going to be as long as you remain lean and you work on very niche technology, definitely there are opportunities to work with manufacturing companies. There is no doubt.
Thank you. So, in the interest of time, maybe we may have to close this now. So, it's time to give the concluding remark. From my point of view, it's a very big learning for me to understand from all the best practicing companies, all the three best practicing companies. Number one, looks like digital transformation is the order of the day. So, everyone is in some stage of the transformation. So, that is point number one. Point number two, the COVID provides an opportunity to reset and reshape and bounce back. Like Mr. Ganesh Mani said, it's an excellent opportunity for all of us to reset, reshape, and bounce back. Of course, in order to do that, digital technologies support such reset and reshape possibilities. Third is, of course, I was very happy to see, the Daimler envisioning the future, and preparing for the future. Because many times in the digital transformation, you do not know what is the end, where you want to reach. It's a journey type of thing, but it's also coming out very clear that envisioning the future of the future, factory of the future, and working towards that is another excellent way to reach our future ambition and goals. So once again, I would like to thank all the panelists. As I said, they are the probably best in their industries, not only in India, globally. So it's even though time is very short, they have done a very good justice and actually bringing their knowledge to the team, to the participants. Any further questions, if it is there, participants, I think you can also connect with them. This also will give you an opportunity to connect with them. I'm sure the participants would have found this session an excellent opportunity, learning session. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaniappan. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, speakers. Now we will be beginning the next session for the day. Give us a couple of minutes while we engage the session.
Hello. Hi. Gautam here from Siemens.
Good morning, Mr. Gautam. We're getting the other speakers also.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure that you are able to see me and you're able to hear me, so that
Yes,
the technology part is behind us.
yes, sir. We're able to see you loud
All
and
right. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. This is Sangram here from Birlasoft. Can you hear me?
clear. Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. We can hear you, we can see you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we are waiting for Mr. Ramesh Babu and Mr. Dev to ping us.
Hey, Shiva, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Babu, we can hear you.
Oh, great. I'm not sure whether Shiva was able to put me on the loop, but I hope you guys can hear me and see me as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, we can see you, sir. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Mr. Dev, yes, we can see you, Mr. Dev. Yeah.
Hope my audio is clear as well.
Yes, yes. Hope it's clear for the panelists also.
Yeah, I can hear them all.
Sure. Only one question. Shiva, the share content link is not active.
Sir, like as Mr. Ramesh Babu will be opening the remarks, and as we progress,
Okay, sure.
for each presenter we will give you the role.
Sure, sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ramesh Babu, we can start, sir. Yeah.
So I can. So everyone can listen in, right?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. So, hello and welcome to this session on how digital technologies are going to be defining our
Hi, Mr.
business
Babu.
strategies. Yeah, hi. So can you hear us? Can you all hear me well?
Yes,
No,
we
I'm not
can.
going to-
I would request others to kind of get muted so that you would be the only voice. Thank you.
That's right, yeah. So hello again, and welcome to this session on how the digital technologies are going to be defining our business strategies and operational excellence. We had a very lively inaugural session, which is primarily more focused on the larger impact of smart factories and smart factories in the business today in this whole situation. A subset of a smart factory is digital. And earlier speaker talked about a VUCA world. Yes. Imagine VUCA world for me right now is not having a coffee break, the regular coffee breaks. Or I see someone sipping a coffee there virtually. So that's something that we miss. The physical contact is what we miss. And I hope the digital takes away some of the pleasures. But we are going to be listening to a lot of host of speakers today and what good the digital is going to be doing to us. For a layman like me, going digital has many connotations to it. The first brush with the word digital came to me when I had my first digital camera that replaced Kodak. But this also gives us an idea of the impact that the digital can bring into our lives, right? And over the last 8 weeks, we keep hearing the word digital more often when we talk about business continuity, safety, productivity, real-time communications, keeping records, KPI management. So right now, what everyone sees is digital as the new vaccine to the business, right? Though yes, we do not have a vaccine yet for COVID, but we see digital as a vaccine to regain lost productivity, real-time communications and whatnot, especially people like us in the manufacturing sector. Because all these days, manufacturing sector lagged behind our peers in terms of embracing digital. So this whole pandemic has made us realize the policies that we are living in and make sure that we catch up with the rest of the world. And it is also allowing people like us to rethink our business priorities in terms of digital is no more a luxury budget now, which we kind of, as and when you have issues, the last one to tick is a digital budget, but more as an immediate investment today, and even at the cost of a traditional investment. So that's how important digital technologies have become today. And I also hear a lot of stories from lots of our colleagues in the business where they delay traditional capex that was planned as early as February, March, but kind of prioritizing investments in digital. So in this backdrop, we have a galaxy of great senior professionals with us today to present their views and also share their experiences with us. So this session is actually a perfect example of the success of digital if reached. I understand, having been in KA panels for many years now, it is very difficult to get a galaxy of senior professionals to come on a certain date, make sure they give their time, the logistics nightmare. But this digital has solved a lot of those issues and still allowing us to get the best of minds to speak to us. So for me, these are certain, immediate tangibles that I could see by way of, going digital. But I do miss my coffee breaks and also a smell of good coffee around. So I keep some guidelines before we get the speakers to talk to us. Please be on mute. Unlike the previous sessions, we would take questions at the end of the three speakers speaking to us. So with that backdrop, I would like to introduce you, and I'm honored to introduce you our first speaker, who's Mr. Gautam Datta, Senior Director, Marketing from Siemens Digital Industries Software. Gautam is a Senior Marketing Director working on next generation solutions to help manufacturers transform their operations into digital enterprises. Gautam has about 25 years of experience in engineering, IT, PLM industries, and has held leadership roles in organizations like TCS, IBM, Silicon Graphics, PTC, and ANSYS. Gautam is an alumnus from Delhi College of Engineering and IIT Madras. His special area of interest and recent engagements have been in the field of digital transformation of India's manufacturing sector. So with that introduction, I would request Mr. Gautam Datta to take over and then deliver his address. Over to you, Gautam.
Thank you, Mr. Babu. I hope you're able to hear me. That is more important than seeing. Because we need to pay attention, so I'm asking this question. Thank you very much. To begin with, I thought I would first like to slightly modify the topic to suit what I want to say, because I thought it was important. I would like to believe that strategy is to address the market reality. Digital technologies actually do not define business strategy, but it is the strategy which demand digital technologies. It's the other way around. However, digital technologies do redefine the operational execution as the topic goes, and I'm modifying the word because we have 20 minutes. I don't want to go to the entire execution. I think it is very relevant to mention a new word called operational resilience. This is earlier, before COVID days, we used to talk about operational excellence, efficiency, productivity. These were the needs of the hour. But post-COVID, I think the market reality is that supply chain is broken. Demand is inconsistent. Availability of resources from material to manpower is short. And there is an overall scarcity of funds, which makes it, because it's a typical demand-supply situation, if we have a scarcity of funds, we have to make sure we put our money where it matters the most. So there is a sense of need to prioritize within the areas of where we can invest and to do better. And there is also a lack of inconsistent manpower, skilled manpower availability, making the new plans for automation, as my previous speaker from Daimler, from many other companies have spoken about. So this being the background, I wanted to take this opportunity to go deeper and suggest and share how digital technologies, in addition to what Mr. Perera mentioned, in addition to what Mr. Ganesh Mani mentioned in the way Daimler is working, and that's an inspiration for us. And by the way, we had the good opportunity of being in Siemens to work with Daimler in this project of transformation over the last more than 7 years. Sorry. But I think I would like to focus on the Indian need of the long tail of India, the small and medium business segment, and the challenges and reality that I spoke about. Either you are a part of a supply chain for an OEM, or you are an OEM itself. But these being the market reality, which I just mentioned, I think there is enough possibility of implementing digital technologies to impact resilience, operational resilience. So let me first start with what is the definition of operational resilience. I don't have any presentation, but I have a 15-minute chat which we can follow with certain questions and answers. It is an ability for an organization to continue to work on its plan, even if there is a huge uncertainty in the external factors. It is the ability for a company to be very, very productive and take advantage of when the market is riding high, and it is equally efficient in improving its internal efficiencies when markets are low. And I believe that this is, in a typical term, it is like a sport of boxing or wrestling, that you may bend but you don't break. You may be down for a moment, but you come back with all your vigor and skills, and that is the factor of resilience. It is measured in probably it can be measured in what kind of instability that you faced and how stable you were internally to be able to face that instability. I think that is a very important factor for us to recognize, whether it is an SMB or whether it is an OEM. So building operational resilience is fast becoming a very strong factor of success in various organizations. So it is important for us as a business to measure what is our tolerance to such instability. So there are digital ways of doing it, which I will come to in next 10, 12 minutes. How important, which are the services which I would like to prevent from disruption in the face of such instabilities? How would I face my consumers and my market integrity and my customers' expectations from me in case such instability happens? Now, what could be an instability in present manner? How do I run my factory with smaller set of people? How do I run my factory with a broken supply chain? What should be my my inventory and WIP strategy? What should be my buffer strategy? I would like to highlight something. Have you noticed that there was a very strong word of JIT called in supply chain before COVID, and just now that entire definition is thrown out of the window, because JIT is something which is turning on its head. It is not just in time. It is how can I manage within the with the vagaries to be in time with my customer, be in cost with my customer expectation. And so these are how do I build operational resilience is one of the challenges that organizations are facing. I'm trying to put some words in those challenges. So let's look at what is operational resilience in the next 10 minutes and draw how digital technologies. So there are many digital technologies that were introduced since the morning. The simulation, the 3D printing, the scanning, the integrated design to manufacturing, the design simulation or manufacturing simulation to be able to simulate an entire plant, to be able to simulate an entire chain, a line, in simulate a workstation, simulate a person, simulate an operation. All these are available to us. Where do we start? What do we take first? How do I measure those? These probably are a bigger challenges to take advantage of these mall of multi-branded technologies that are available. I think time has come for us to have a strategy for implementing digital within our organization, while the digital technologies are available in the market for buying. Okay, so first and foremost, I would say that we need to prioritize our critical products and critical services. All the fingers are not the same. All the body organs are not the same. All the areas of our economy are not the same. obviously there is certain things which are more important. There are certain services which are more important, and likewise in an organization, we have to see, okay, what is my business as usual model? What is my consolidation area? Where do I strengthen? What is my bread and butter? And where do I invest? There has to be a starting plan. At this moment, like many people are talking about rebooting and kind of this is a time for reset, replan, because it's a good pause that we have taken as a community, as an economy, and as an organization. While we reboot, it would be good to also prioritize the products and services and the way we would like to go about doing it to begin with. The second is, what is our impact tolerance? I apologize. I go back to how do I prioritize? I don't think we should do prioritization based on our gut feel or what we believe. I think there is time now to do database decision. And if we have to do a database decision, we should have those areas of priority covered by industrial IoT closed loop systems, so that we are able to get data, and based on data we can take informed decisions to know that this is my priority and these are my KPIs. And I know people have talked about it before me. I've heard them. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. The second point, what is our impact tolerance? If I say what is my impact tolerance, I would like to estimate these. How do I estimate my impact tolerance? Not by actually facing the disaster out in the practical market, but probably these are the scenarios. I'm sure many of you would have seen, things like movies like Apollo 13, Tom Hanks, long time ago. What they do is they simulate various scenarios right down here in simulators. They give practical problems and challenges to the astronauts, and astronauts have to take split-second decisions using the simulators and then come out successful. If they fail, the practice is repeated. If they fail, practice is repeated again. They have to do 1,000 times practice on a variety of such simulation scenarios. So I think time has come that we actually simulate our impact areas, impact scenarios. Okay, if there is a broken supply chain, how am I going to produce at least 60% of my prioritized production? How do I fulfill at least 80% of my customers' need? How do I make use of my my infrastructure more than at least 75% of utilization? If these are the challenges given by the CX CEO to the team has to create these impact scenarios of broken supply chain, of shortage of manpower, of various buffer strategies, and all these today is possible with what Mr. Perera mentioned in the previous section. You have these kind of tools available where you could simulate the entire plant and apply internal logistics and simulate your machines, the AGVs, the mean time between breakdowns, the production areas, and redeploy your manpower resources, which is short, and understand the impact tolerance. That's point number 2. Point number 3, understand and know your value chain. Third parties or your value chain stakeholders is the second biggest root cause of operational outages after change management. Somebody mentioned change management in my previous session. Change management leads to many disruptions. Agreed. That being the first, the second most important cause of outages is the broken supply chain, our third party efficiencies and inefficiencies. If they are efficient, we are in control. If they are inefficient for any reason today in a force majeure scenario, it is the second most reason. So key business processes may be caught up with complicated supply chains and are subject to concentration risk. And this risk needs to be mitigated, and that is possible by setting up integration among supply chains. So visibility of inventory to our supply chain stakeholders, and the reverse of it, transparency of how the production and projects are going within our key suppliers to us, will give us the advance notice of doing a dialogue between the stakeholder and between the OEM, between the supply chain player and the supply chain parent. They can do a dialogue much in advance rather than as a post-mortem or finger pointing that we end up doing in most cases, or what we call is a urgency management. Our life, if those who are from shop floor would know that our life is around small slips of paper in my pocket in which I am writing down numbers that what kind of what kind of WIP inventory is left, what is the shortage. We work on shortage management. At least when I was in shop floor, my life was forever shortage management. We start, okay, this is what we need, this is what we have, so cover the shortage. Our life is like calling up the supply chain, calling up the designers, calling up the internal stakeholders and say, oh, this is short, this material is short, this drawing is not there, latest release is missing, the upgrade is missing. It's all about missing management. What I am saying is, let's go take it to the other way around. If we are transparent, if I can tell you this is what I am ready with, you can help me reprioritize. If I can see what is shortage within your OEM scenario, I can reprioritize my production. And that way we can take advanced level decisions. And these are possible through integrated supply chain using the digital technologies like PLM integrated with ERP, PLM integrated with ERP with plant simulation. These technologies are being used in India, and I'm not talking globally, I'm talking in India, and they are being practiced very, very often. But the practice is limited to visionary companies. I think the time has come to take it to the pragmatic long tail of India. Third, that's the third point. Fourth, maintain stakeholder communication plans. I doubt very few SMBs in our ecology have a proper protocol for communication. If some things are happening, how are you dealing? What is the automated notifications going to stakeholders? What are the notifications going to customers? What is the notification going to government? What is the notification going to tax authorities? What is the information going to internal stakeholders, to the managers, to the workers, to the people? And I think there needs to be a very clear communication plan. It's like an airport. Think about it. You're waiting for a flight, and the flight is delayed. You have no idea when it will fly, and you don't know the reason. Imagine the level of annoyance you face as against the same delay. With every 10 minutes, if somebody is coming on the microphone or on the screen and telling you that this is what we have, a situation, we have a technical snag, and we are right now, maintenance is working on it, and we expect that it will take 2 hours. I can assure you, you may be disturbed, but you will not be annoyed. That's the difference between having a communication plan, which is a protocol communication plan, and not having a communication plan, which is more like a, disaster-based communication plan. That's the fourth point. Fifth, flexibility. We have spoken about this word, again, many speakers in the morning. I would like to define it. There are two levels of flexibility here. One, flexibility on products that you manufacture. How quickly you can change your design from one to the other, because that's the need of the hour. How quickly you can change batch sizes from 5,000 to 1,000, and 3D printing and ability to switch between injection molding tool and 3D printing, a make or buy. These are the quick decisions that could define flexibility. And flexibility is also about how quickly you can change over from one kind of production and to the another kind within the same shop floor that you have been operating in. So these multi-flexibility scenarios can now be digitally programmed in advance. Best-in-class companies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to underline this. Best-in-class companies undertake at an average 20,000 to 30,000 experiments a week in simulation area to arrive at the best decision of logistics, best decision of scheduling, best decision of batch sizes, and best decision of product mixes. And all that is done based on the target KPIs that you want to hit. either in terms of in good times, either in terms of market share. In bad times or challenging times, it's on margins and efficiency, because measurement changes. Measurement is not the same in difficult times and in good times. In good times, it's about how to sell more, how to make top line. In challenging times, it's about how to make bottom line. And I think it is important that we change our measurements to respond to board's requirement of this. So that's the fifth point. And last but not the least, I think it is the mother of everything, is accurate single source of truth about information. Whether it is a person who's standing on the machine, whether he's a supervisor, an engineer, a manager, a design manager, a manufacturing head, vice presidents, CEOs, CXOs, CFOs, and if you are a business which is present on the street, then it's the stakeholders and shareholders. I think it is extremely important to have an accurate single source of truth, and that is possible by introduction of a robust industrial IoT with cloud data analytics and app-driven data analytics, so that you have the single source of truth, which is nothing but the reality on the shop floor coming to you on a daily basis in real time, so that you can make accurate, quick decisions. Let me highlight something at the end. I think we are engineers. We are here to solve problems, both for the mankind as well as for our organization. But we can make that decision only when we have accurate inputs. 70% of our customer engineers do not take decisions or delay decisions because they don't have enough data with them. And I think it's an important last factor. So summarizing before I end, prioritize the critical products and services, number one. Number two, understand your impact tolerance. Number three, know your value chain. Number four, maintain a good, sound stakeholder communication plan. Number five, flexibility both for batch sizes, design, product design, as well as speed of manufacturing. And last but not the least, single source of truth. With that, I would like to end. If you have any questions, please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Datta, for that engaging presentation. Couple of points where you struck a chord with me personally, I would say, when you talked about operational resilience, because we heard the word resilience and resolve from our Honorable Prime Minister when he started this televised address to all of us somewhere around the end of March, when the need for the whole of the country to be resilient and make sure that we face this whole pandemic. Yes, it is true to our operations as well. And when you talked about the shortage management and the travails that people go through in the shop floor, I'm sure it would have struck a chord with most of the people who are listening to this presentation. And very simple, lucid, and elegantly put. So, a question to the CII group: do we take questions now, or do we take questions at the end of the session?
We will take questions at the end of the session, sir, together.
Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Datta. And now I have the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. So, I'm here till the end of the session. Not a problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. So our next presenter is Mr. Dave K. Ramchandani. He's a Senior Director in Management Consulting from Hitachi Vantara. Dave is a global manufacturing consultant at Vantara with 15 years of rich and diverse experience. He has experience working with McKinsey and Tata Motors, where he had a range of leadership positions. Dave has done his graduation in production engineering and management from NIT Jamshedpur, and is also a postgraduate operations management from ST Jain. And yes, personally, we've been in touch, Dave. Good to see you and hear you again. So it's over to you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. I hope I am audible clearly.
Yes, I can hear you well. Yes.
Sure. So I have a presentation. So as we get started, I'll just share the presentation as well. and hope that you're able to see that also in a bit. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is. Manufacturing excellence in digital era. Yes, I can.
Perfect.
I hope.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes. So what I am going to be talking about today is around how do we look at manufacturing excellence? What does it mean in the digital era? And while I'm not going to be emphasizing that digital transformation is the need of the hour, more from a resilience perspective, as Mr. Datta was talking, or from a productivity perspective, what I will be emphasizing is what are some of the key challenges and what's the approach which would make sense for all of us if we want to go about it and get benefits from that. That's one part. Second would be mainly around picking some small examples which talk about art of the possible. So how do we leverage digital and change some of the conventional thinking around traditional manufacturing excellence? So these are the broad areas which I will be talking about. And before we jump into that, just wanted to give a brief overview of Hitachi, because I do understand that as Hitachi, most of you would start thinking about, okay, is it that same AC manufacturing, TV manufacturing? But Hitachi is way more than that. So it's a 100-year-old company across OT and IT. We happen to be the 8th largest technology company in the world and 24th largest manufacturing company. One of our facilities also recently got recognized by the World Economic Forum as the Industrial Revolution Lighthouse. So what I am trying to say is we as Hitachi Vantara are the digital solutions arm for broader Hitachi Limited. And we have been working jointly, leveraging the manufacturing setups, trying to explore how this can play a bigger role in terms of the journey. So as I was mentioning, all of us do understand that digital transformation is the need of the hour. However, what we see in the market is majority of the manufacturers are unable to scale digital. And when we scale digital, what we mean is go beyond the basic pilots, go beyond the initial test cases. How do you go about and change, basically have 50 plus use cases, which was one of the criteria for the Lighthouse selection as well. So in this, unfortunately, 83% of the firms which we looked at have not been able to enter that phase. And why have they not been able to? So some bit of the challenge lies around holistic thinking and the approach also. How do we go about that? And hence the first section, as I was talking about, how do we go about it and how should we think about this? So, and just a quick kind of update on what is digital transformation. Different people talk about different ways in digital transformation, but what is the way to look at digital transformation? I would say let's keep it simple. The simple point about digital transformation is that it has to be business driven and it should meet my customer needs. So I'm talking about transforming core and discovering new ways. That's what we should think about. It's not about like, this is the flavor of the month or this is a cool factor, hence let's adopt digital. That does not make sense at all. We should use the core digital tools and figure out how new opportunities are getting enabled by digital. So what does this mean? Does this mean that the traditional attributes which we have been talking about in terms of manufacturing excellence, which is SQ, CD, PM, most of us being manufacturers in this group would have definitely heard about it, right? So we're talking about safety, quality, productivity, cost, delivery, morale. So are they no longer relevant? Or is digital something which will run in parallel to this? So the answer is no. Digital can definitely help us move across each one of these. And there is no reason why we shouldn't think about this when we are thinking about a digital transformation. Because digital can help us realize the value potential across each of these, both in a strategic manner and a ROI-oriented manner as well. And just to maybe take a step back and think about how, right? So how does digital fit into this whole picture? So how does it fit into the traditional aspects which we have been looking at? So I will maybe step back a bit to the initial days of manufacturing excellence, which still are very, very important in my view. So we used to talk about PDCA and the SD cycles, right? And the journey, the improvement journey, if we think about it, the improvement journey moves from internal benchmarking to the technical limit. So in this whole journey, how does this thing fit in? So while I am achieving my goal for the future factory, which I was doing without digital as well, what will digital help me do? How does it help me reach closer to my technical limit? So the aspect is very simple. As we have been doing this, as manufacturers, while we have set processes, the challenge is the inherent variability. And the variability comes across all the 4M or 8M dimensions, whatever you choose to use, right? So the aspect is around human, machine, material, method. Across all these dimensions, there continues to be variability. So as we get into our manufacturing zone and we have set processes, the aspect of this variability continues. And what does this lead to? This leads to waste variability and inflexibility. Across all these losses which we face, how do we go about? So this is where digital plays a key role, and it helps us reach to the next level of excellence or maturity in terms of our operations. Because when if I know in advance what is the variability which I am getting from an incoming raw material and what is the impact of that in my process, I can go ahead and tweak things in a manner real time, which will help me achieve whatever parameters I want to. Be it the performance parameters, be it the quality parameters, all of those I can better control. And that's the next level thing which digital is pitching us as an opportunity. So in terms of looking at it, the humble request is one key takeaway for all of us, please look at it in tandem. So if someone comes to you and says, okay, I have a wonderful predictive tool, I'll just go ahead and deploy this for you. Or I have a prescriptive analytic solution, I'll go and do it in your solution. Just don't jump to it. See the relevance of that context in your scenario. Very, very important. And how does it link to the traditional business management philosophies? So when we are talking about lean manufacturing, lean applies across industries and today also is applicable. What will change is, how do we go about lean? And one of the most interesting bits is, I happen to be working with Toyota as well. And Toyota, which is the originator of Toyota production system, is also reaping benefits by this combination. So if someone like a Toyota, which has initiated the lean thing and is getting additional benefit with digital, that kind of in itself is proof enough that this is something which will add value. So the intent and the request is, let's look at these in tandem. The traditional philosophies, tools, very, very relevant. How do they join hands with the new AI, machine learning, predictive, prescriptive, advanced analytics, advanced sensors, and go ahead and help me across the dimensions of SQPCDM. So that's the perspective which I would want to bring in as we approach it. Also, should always start with a business objective. When we think about our roadmap to digital transformation, it has to initiate with a business objective. I cannot go ahead and say, okay, I will initiate it with technology. That's the worst thing probably you could do to your system. So think about what is my business objective. From that business objective, what are the
I think you're losing you.
then I really need to revisit. Yes, Mr. Ramesh, with me.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Sure. So the point here was we have to, the consulting dimension or the business dimension is very critical as we embark on this journey, because we need to define what is the business objective and how my solution core is linking to it. And I need to probably use the 3I framework, that what is the impact, what is the investment, and what is the implementation feasibility before I jump ahead on the journey. So with this, what I would do is I would move to the second part, where we will talk about two very basic aspects, which is OE and FMEA. And we will try and bring out some examples that how digital has changed the life of both of these and how we can better utilize them. And before that, my only earnest request would be, please feel free to imagine stuff. So art of the possible is very important. Don't restrain yourself. Don't think that, okay, this is something, the way things have happened for the last 30, 40, 50 years, and it's not going to change. Please do feel free to imagine what will happen with the digital potential. If I can capture all the key parameters, which is the single source of truth, I can predict and prevent problems before they happen, then how will I go about it? What is feasible with that? What can I do? Right? Can I predict and prevent my bottlenecks? And bottlenecks again is a very interesting point, right? When we talk of bottlenecks, so all throughout we have heard that, okay, in my manufacturing process, this stage is the bottleneck. But in reality, what happens is there are shifting bottlenecks. So there is a shifting bottleneck phenomena. And as we want to go to the next level of operational benefits, I obviously need to figure out what is the shifting bottleneck and how do I attack that. And that's something which digital gives me the flexibility to do. So I cannot just think of a static bottleneck, because if I just adjust that, I may end up getting 70-80% of the benefit which I was emphasizing. because it was not the bottleneck for the remaining time. How do I go about the defects and downtime? So this is what I would request. And now, if we talk about the overall equipment effectiveness, which is something which has been existing for ages, a lot of the companies follow that as a standard thing. But more than a KPI, I personally believe it's a problem-solving tool. It's more than a KPI. The intent here is how do we go about the loss categorization here and take improvement initiatives across this. So in this, what are some of the challenges which we still face? So how do we do accurate measurement of downtime? That's something which unfortunately still remains debatable. There's a version with the production team, there's a version with the manufacturing team. And this is one of the easiest things to address with digital. This is something will go away. Then what about the minor stoppages? This is again very important, right? So how do I baseline standard times? Unfortunately, as we speak with manufacturers, till date also, I see people very proudly telling, okay, my performance is 105%. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by 105%? Okay, my design was this, now I am this. Why don't you change the denominator? How will you look at improvement? It's not about just showcasing that, okay, I have a KPI which I have best. But more important, how do I move forward with that? What is the time invested in rework? What are the causes for rework? These are things which still remain as challenges. So how do we move about that? And in this, now, if we look at the digitized OE, right? So again, a simple replica here, and I'm sure most of us might have already gone about this. This is one of the very basic aspects. So how do I go? How do I minimize the time spent on data capturing? Very simple. I have a processing machine. I can either pull it from the PLC. I can add sensors. These are very easy devices. Add-on devices are also available. You can see it as black boxes. Just go ahead and fit it. You will get it. FG, which is the total production mostly captured, right? So that's something which data can come from your existing system. You go ahead and link it with your ERP, MES, or any legacy system as well. So what happens typically is both these sides are captured, right? My quality side is captured, my breakdown side is captured. The process losses are mostly the mystery. So this is something which will help us kind of unravel the mystery across that. So a simple flow, but what does it do? Minimizes time spent on data capturing, removes this point that, okay, no, this is not the truth, because there's a single version of truth here. The accuracy and availability of data goes ahead. And then we start getting into a fact-based culture. So it's not about then we are not wasting time debating, becoming defensive. But what do? We do problem solving on the back of data, which is the best way to do, which is what we always wanted to do. And then the other thing which comes in, which is kind of intangible from this, I would say, is that the tacit knowledge is starting to form a robust system. Right? So what this means, in this era, now we don't no longer have the luxury that, okay, one of my operators joined me and will retire 30 years down the line from the system. That's no longer there. So a lot of the things which were in the brains of my operators need to start coming to the system. And as we move to the FMEA side, I will also touch further upon this. And this is a very important intangible thing. Now, how does it play as we go about this, right? So the simple thing, what we all understand, right? The data loop, which is data analysis, decision, action. Very simplistic thing which most manufacturers follow. In this, what happens? So data is directly coming in the system. I no longer bother about this. I don't need to waste time pulling whenever I need to put together a report. What about the analysis? Some of the basic analysis is also coming in directly. I know the loss buckets. There's no need for me to break my neck about and validate with others. This is something which is standard and available. Where do I need to focus? I need to focus at how do I leverage this analysis, take it to the next level of root cause analysis, take decisions on that, go ahead and actionate them. So this decision and action part is something which still remains with human. So this is a system which will help my people do better. And eventually, maybe as we move towards predictive, prescriptive, some of the aspects of decision making also gets addressed. But still, it still makes sense for us to have the human involved for the time being the system evolves, and then move to a completely system-driven thing. In terms of the FMEA, moving on to the failure mode and effects analysis, a very simple thing, but what misses is we don't have it as the currency of conversation. So just do a truthful reflection is what I would request all of you. Even with the big manufacturers, I have very limited experience of seeing them that whenever there's a breakdown, they jump into the failure mode. Very rare. If there is an issue in my asset, how often do I talk about failure modes? Because this has to be the currency of conversation. End intent for all being prevention of failures is something I want to maximize. I want to reduce the correction of failures. How do I go about that? What are some of the aspects in the traditional FMEA? It's a very good tool. There's no ambiguity on that. Most of the organizations follow this. But what is the challenge? The challenge is it often ends up becoming a dead document, right? So I'm not going to talk about the basics of FMEA. I'm assuming all of us know it enough. We have used it enough. But the challenge is it becomes a dead document residing in some Excel sheet in one of my engineers' laptop or computer and not rarely used, right? So it's not used. The point is when there is a failure, do I go back to the FMEA at that point and say, okay, what was the contingency? The other simple thing being, this failure has occurred. What was there in my PM checklist for this? It was all okay in the PM checklist. Why did this failure occur? Which means the equipment strategy which I have has gone wrong. So the whole aspects around comprehensiveness and quality are not definitely being looked at in this. And it's not fault of anyone, right? So what I'm trying to bring out here is there is this disconnect which exists, but it's not the fault. Why it's not the fault? Because it's not practically feasible. So if I'm looking at some person who's in the shop floor and I'm expecting that person to go to that cumbersome FMEA, go and pull out that failure mode, map it to the failure mode, also do the correction, and then keep a linkage, that's something which becomes slightly impractical. But now, as we envisage with digital, this is something which becomes the reality. This is the new normal. And this not only gives me excellence, but also kind of captures the tacit knowledge which I was talking about. So what is it that we are talking? It's a digital FMEA here, it's my equipment strategy, and it's my cause failure analysis. What if all these three are always talking to each other? Why should they remain in isolation? If I have a failure mode and effects analysis done properly, that should go to my equipment strategy. My equipment strategy should be on that basis only. And my equipment strategy needs to be revisited every time I'm having a repeat failure, because that failure shouldn't have occurred in the first place. So if that is coming, why shouldn't I go back to this? And with this, again, so it's a two-way movement, I would say. We can go from left to right and right to left, which is when there is a breakdown happening, I can go and revisit my failure modes and do that. And the other way as well, when I am planning my preventive strategy, how do I go from the other direction? Look at this and then plan accordingly, because this also gives us a lot of opportunity to refine some of the maintenance which we are doing. There's a lot of additional stuff which we end up doing as well. There's often a 10% potential easily which exists to refine that and also focus on what matters to us. Just a simple art of the possible thing again here. If we think about it, what is it that we are talking, right? So this is something which we did with mining trucks. So once we have the last three, right, which I was talking about, these three things talking to each other, what could happen is if there is a failure, which is what is highlighted here in red, sorry for the visibility, if we had a separate thing, we could do a proper demo of this. But the point here is this is more like a complaint or a failure mode. So with this failure mode, the system becomes capable enough of telling you if this is the failure, this is what you should do. So in this, what it's saying is you clean your fan clutch. And there's 84% confidence that if you clean your fan clutch, you will rectify this issue. And there are cases where it's less as well, right? So it's saying with a 60% accuracy or a 14% accuracy as well. So the more we start using the system, leveraging the advanced analytics and machine learning, it will become more and more capable of addressing these dimensions for me. So it's very important for me to go in a holistic journey rather than jumping into predictive prescriptive, go the whole asset tree, failure mode, and then getting into equipment strategy route so that I have a holistic know-how and I'm focusing on the right attributes. Now, just to summarize what I was trying to cover, what is this intelligent manufacturing journey all about? How do we look at this intelligent manufacturing journey? So I would say 4 core levels, but before jumping to the levels, we need to fix basic systems and processes. That's very, very important because I fixed my basics. That means I am at a primitive level and there exists a lot of opportunity for me to gain benefit just by this. And once these basics are in place, because otherwise with data integration also, I will just gather garbage. And that GIGO thing still remains valid, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If I'm not putting in relevant things in the system, it will not throw the right insights to me. So I fix the basics, I do the data integration. From there, I get that single pane of glass operational view, merge all the legacy and the new systems, move into advanced analytics and enterprise integration, and from there move to predictive and prescriptive. That's the very important stage. And most of the organizations currently are hovering between, I would say, level 2 and level 3. Most of the ones who have initiated their journey are somewhere here. Right? Because the true predictive again takes a lot of time. It It's not like, okay, I just want to put a rule-based engine. That's okay. If this threshold crosses, I get an alert, and that's prediction. That's not prediction. Don't fool yourself. That's only a rule-based alert engine. It's just mapping you on thresholds. Prediction is way more than that, right? So then we move to prediction, and then finally it's the customer inclusive and symbiotic. So that's the journey all about. And what I would want you to keep in mind is please do set clear goals, align with your business vision, very, very important. That's something which is a no-go. Identify the high areas of impact, prioritize your initiatives. With the prioritized initiatives, get into POV, right? So as I mentioned, no POCs. There is no proof of concept which is needed. If I put a sensor, it will work. Talk about POVs, proof of value. Will it add value in your system? Will that new technology help you improve and generate value in your ecosystem? That's more important. Then move to the executive sponsorship, right? That's again very important always. We need to have the buy-in. At one of the organizations, we were able to establish this as a chairman initiative, and that obviously creates a difference. Focus on results always. The point is to move fast. It's all about moving fast, and I think one of the earlier speakers in the first session was talking about speed. Definitely very important. And with that speed only, always be ready to iterate and course correct, because in true sense, digital is like an adventure, right? Because there will be different tools which will keep coming. As you get your people to adapt more and more, you will definitely find people coming up with more and more valuable suggestions. So we are able to do this. Why shouldn't we do that? And that's the most powerful. When you reach that stage, you know that you have embraced digital in your organization, right? So those were the thoughts from my side. And I do understand we will take questions later, but we'll be available, and we also have a small exhibition area. Feel free to visit for further details. Back to you, Mr. Ramesh.
Hey, thank you very much, Dave. So thank you for taking us through this journey of layering digital over the traditional, and also talking about the tools that are generally used in most of the shop floors and FMEA, and the impact of digital on these two tools, and how we kind of be more efficient. Yes, I'm sure there are going to be questions on your take on FMEA versus DFMEA. I'm sure the audience will have questions on the way the DFMEA is going to pan out for them. We will wait for those questions. Thanks again, Dave. So I just move over to our last speaker of this session, Mr. Sangram Kadam. Sangram Kadam is the Vice President and Head of Birla Shop. Sangram is a seasoned leader with over 20 years of experience in strategic business development across APAC and META regions. And Sangram enjoys reading technology blogs and has a penchant to explore the outdoors whenever his schedule permits him to do so. Unfortunately, not now, Mr. Karam. You will have to wait for that.
True.
Yeah. And he holds an MBA in marketing and a bachelor's degree in electronics engineering from Savitri Pune University. So without wasting much time, I will hand over the session to you, Mr. Karam.
Thank you, Mr. Babu. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me share my presentation. Can you see?
Yes, we can.
So thank you so much, Mr. Babu and CI, for giving this time to present my views on how we have seen the shift from connected assets to a smart manufacturing or adaptive manufacturing. And I wanted to thank both Mr. Gautam and Dave for setting the context. If you go back and see what the earlier panel actually gave the views, it was more from the end user perspective. So whether it's Daimler or the other speaker, and I think we heard from Siemens as well as from Hitachi. And I think it really completes the view with we coming as a system integrator or IT services provider who will really help the manufacturers to realize the dream of their digital transformation or Industry 4.0. I think whatever we call. And for this session or for a manufacturer, I think we are using these two words, whether it's Industry 4.0 or digital transformation in manufacturing. I think either or. So You may hear speaking about Industry 4.0 or a smart manufacturing. I think my message will be almost same. The second point which I wanted to again share, I think Mr. Gautam spoke about Siemens and about Daimler story. I think I wanted to again take some credit. We are also big partners to Siemens. So what Gautam spoke, I think we are trying to bring those solutions in reality. And fortunately, we also work with Daimler as well. Of course, I'm not going to share anything specific to Daimler today, but I'm again going to share overall our experiences, what Birlasoft has come across as a partner with most of the other manufacturers. With this, I think I will get into my presentation. This is what broadly I wanted to hear. Actually, we are all hearing about power of digital. We wanted to take it to the next level and see how manufacturing can be added to the power of digital. And I think Mr. Babu, you mentioned about how most of the other industries are early adopter of the digital. Manufacturers are at different stages of life cycle of digital. We wanted to give our view how we are seeing the life cycle in the digital and how our manufacturers have adopted this power of digital. Second, we also wanted to share our views on how we have seen the evolution for a few of our customers from intelligent shop floor to the smart manufacturer or adaptive manufacturer. And of course, we have devised one smart manufacturing model. It's nothing but what Mr. Gautam and Mr. Ved spoke. And of course, last 2 months, how we are seeing the changes by a few of our customers in view of the COVID-19. And I will also touch base upon few solutions which are really help few of our customers. Now I spoke about Industry 4.0. As an organization, or when we talk about Industry 4.0 or manufacturing to the power of digital, I think traditionally we are focusing on 3 key pillars. One is, of course, the digital manufacturing. And of course, everybody spoke about how we can digitally empower the shop floors, whether in some sense of a shop floor or overall as a factory. And then we call it as a smart factory or intelligent factory. And now going forward, we will call it as overall as a smart manufacturing. The second aspect will be how we can digitally actually help to do a lot of R&D research, which can help to connect the products as well as the operation. And I think we are talking about connected products, the wearables, we are talking about connected health systems and whatnot. And I think this COVID has made it more evident that we need to go and follow that path. Third and the most important, I think, which my earlier panelists also shared, was the overall experience. And I think whether it's me as a supplier or my customers or my stakeholders or my even the other stakeholders, how they are getting the seamless experience. And I think we saw some challenges when we are moving to the new normal, which is this digital model. And I absolutely agree with, I think we will not able to really replace the physical model. And we strongly believe in that with our experience of working with so many manufacturers. I think with this, if you see now what's happening, the fourth industrial revolution, what we call is Industry 4.0, is nothing but actually what we call it is a manufacturing side of digital transformation. I think we are seeing a lot of data-driven autonomous system. Mr. Perera spoke about data as a new oil, and I think that's absolutely true. A lot of areas on the machine learning, we are hearing about that. With the organization adopting IoT devices, they're collecting critical matrices, they're visualizing data in real time, they're analyzing their results. Actually, all these helping them to actually go and follow the path of digital transformation. But is that true? No. Our experience is close to 90% of data, whatever you are gathering from your production, which is close to 1 terabyte of kind of a data when I am averaging out the small and medium and large production houses, is not utilized. When I say is not utilized, it is not properly utilized. We are not taking any action. With this, I think...
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah?
Sir, your screen is not visible now.
Is it
your
visible?
Presentation.
Let me put in.
Yeah, now it's visible. You can, yeah, it's fine now. Go ahead.
Sure. So now with this, I think how we are helping most of our customers to digitize their manufacturing operation, how we are helping them to transfer their product life cycle, and of course how we are helping them, which is very, very evident in current scenario, to modify and reimagine their business models. And I think I will share a few of our experiences. Now, if you see how we have seen the evolution, and I think whatever parameters I have seen, I think my earlier panelist, particularly Mr. Gautam, spoke about a lot of these about agility, about flexibility, but I wanted to share a few areas how we have seen this transition. Earlier, I think most of the manufacturers were focusing more on how I can optimize my cost. And of course, the pressure was on how I can lower my price and how can I pass on my margins, whether whatever higher margin I will get, I will pass on some margins to my customer. And that is where I think we were focusing a lot on manufacturing operation excellence. And this is not truly a manufacturing overall excellence. From there, as a starting point, I think we move to what we call as intelligent factory or smart manufacturing. And which are those areas? I think we found the most of the manufacturers need to be agile. When I say agile, what is that they are doing? They wanted to do, sorry, they wanted to have their material efficiency. I think can they see a real-time visibility into where are their materials going? Reliability. In current scenario, I think my plants are almost closed. Now they are started maybe 30%, 40%, 50%, depending on the government regulation. How can I have a minimal downtime? How can I make sure I am using my assets to the fullest extent? How I can get a visibility into real-time asset monitoring? Somebody spoke about predictive or prescriptive analytics. I think in manufacturers, how can it help me to predict my maintenance? How can it help me to predict my downtimes so that I can minimize those downtime and my production is as it is? And it has a lot of values and benefits which we'll discuss as we move forward. There's a lot of focus on quality. Can we do my process monitoring instead of doing quality as a separate function? Can I embed it as a part of my overall manufacturing process? So as soon as my material gets inside, to the time I ship my material outside, the entire quality process will be embedded as a part of my overall process. How I can make sure this is zero defect? First pass is FPY, what the overall manufacturing industry started. I think all this led to what we call today is IT and OT, the information technology and the operational technology convergence. And in current scenario, it is very, very applicable. And flexibility is, I will say, the crux of overall smart or adaptive manufacturing. How I can make sure that I will change my schedule depending on the demand, whether I can able to change my machine, can I change my assembly lines? I think this is where the adaptive or the smart manufacturing is moving. Can I bring a lot of standardization? Of course, I wanted to bring the standardization, but at the same time, can I make it non-standardized as well? Because suddenly tomorrow I get a different order, and whatever I make the shop floor line, can I change those? I think this is where our customers we have seen moving them, and I think my earlier speaker spoke about some of the tools and technology what we are going to use. That's exactly what we are going to use. With this, if you see, these are the three buckets where we are seeing the adoption. So right from intelligent shop floor and the automation. So I think most of you have gone for some kind of automation, and these are the three different life stages of our manufacturers which we are seeing. So they have adopted some shop floor controls, so whether it's PLCs, SCADA machines, some kind of automation they have inbuilt. And now they are adopting the IoT journey as well. Some machines are connected. If you have the very old machines, it's very difficult to gather data from that. But the objective was, of course, can I get a real-time visibility? Can I put some controls? From that, we have seen people are moving to the transparent operation. Can I get actually visibility of what's happening? That led to adoption of manufacturing execution system. That led to adoption of manufacturing operations management. I think both the speakers earlier spoke about how they are helping the customers with their own solution. We help those solutions and we help our customer to adapt, which is nothing but truly right now what we call is IT and OT. From there, can I move to the more agile, more flexible, and more adaptive manufacturing, what we generally call today as a smart manufacturing? It is nothing but I think we are also adding the layer of product lifecycle management. So even right from visualizing where my factory I wanted to set up, which is a virtual factory, can I create a digital twin? Can I see how will be my operation line? Can I see how will be my supply chain line? I think that is what is adding to the smart manufacturing. So even before I put actually my plant, I have all those simulation, and Mr. Gautam spoke about 20,000 simulations and an organization makes. This is where the smart manufacturing is leading. So if all you put together, current scenario, particularly in India, if you see, people are at level 1 or level 2, but there are some mature organizations who are already adopted some methods which are an agile and flexible adaptive manufacturing stage. So that is where we are seeing a journey from the shop floor optimization to overall as an organization, we are moved towards the smart manufacturing. And these are some of the benefits what we have seen when you are adopting a journey from intelligent shop floor to adaptive manufacturing. I think intelligent shop floor will surely help you to monitor and predict your production, what is that capacity you are going to product, how your performance, you are able to find out if there are any performance anomalies, some tolerances which are going beyond tolerance levels, some failures we are adopting. That has led to bring me back to my how I can commit to my delivery plans, how I can improve my production, because I'm getting a lot of visibility, I'm getting a lot of data points. Those data points are helping me to improve on my production, improve on my overall shop floor operation, improve over on my planning. From there, I'm moving to my overall operational efficiency. So right from my supply chain, right from my raw material, inventory, to overall manufacturing or a distribution. I think that is where helping me to reduce my waste. And of course, how I can reduce on my non-productive activities, how I can focus more on my productive activity, because now I have visibility on a lot of transparent things. And that will absolutely lead to the last stage, which is how I can be keep relevant and agile to my customer, how I can be myself relevant and agile to my overall environment. And of course, the COVID has really given a boost to a lot of customers to look at this particular angle as well, because till now we have seen a lot of people were happy with intelligent shop floor and the smart factory, but truly they were not thinking about the adaptive manufacturing or overall the smart manufacturing as a concept. How I can adopt the overall automation, and I think I will get into the closed loop manufacturing. This is where I think we have seen few of my customers starting their journey and moving. A lot of customers are in either stage one or stage two, where they have really adopted the intelligent shop floor. But as I mentioned, I think now this is not a choice. We cannot wait for a next COVID or something like a COVID to happen. India, seeing the lot of potential, what we are seeing, hearing about, a lot of manufacturers globally will move their business to India. I feel this is a golden opportunity for all of us to adopt this adaptive manufacturing journey. And we came up with the smart manufacturing model. I think all of you spoke and heard about. So we found out that there are these three element or a pillar of any manufacturing model. Most of us have adapted some or other part of digitalization. The second pillar we are seeing digitalization. We are only adding L, but that L is giving a lot of benefits and improvements to my customers. And third, of course, we spoke about a fully digital transformation. This is again a journey. So if I have to put whatever I spoke about intelligent shop floor to a smart factory to a smart manufacturing, this I can put into these three buckets again. We started journey as a digitizing, and digitizing was digitizing my products, digitizing my assets, how I can help digitizing even my workforce. And somebody spoke about workforce is going to play a major role. Whatever automation you bring, I think the human aspect will not able to go away. And I think we strongly believe in that humans will add a lot of value. And the fourth last one was how I can adopt the digitizing my manufacturing process. That will take to the next level, where we'll adopt a lot of digital models. We'll bring some digital technologies. And that the last stage in journey will be the digital transformation, where all this new technology, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's blockchain, whether it's machine learning, whether it's IoT, all that we spoke, how that will help me to move my products, my processes to truly a digital transformation journey or a truly a smart manufacturing way. That will also help me to create my digital twins. So this is where I think we feel this overall smart manufacturing model can be built, and any of my customer or whoever on the call will be somewhere in the journey. Somebody will be digitalizing their product, somebody are currently digitalizing their assets, so I'm putting some maintenance system, I'm putting some asset management system, I'm putting some ERP system, or I'm putting some digitization system. And some of them are maybe in advanced stages where I have already put bots, I have put my artificial intelligence, I'm using some machine learning model, or I'm using some big data models as well. So I can see that I think all of us can correlate to one of this, and I think this is where we wanted to move to our customer. Now all this is good. With this current today's scenario, last 2 months has been very, very difficult for all of us. I think most of us have tried to survive, and this is a three-step model we develop for few of our customer. I think the most important, all of the manufacturers we surely wanted, and for that overall industry wanted to survive. How we can have our business continuity plan, how we can have our identifying the risk. If tomorrow something like COVID comes, are we clear about which are the risks? What are my delivery models? What are my supply chain models? Are we clear about that? How I can align my readjust and realign my models? How can coordinate with? So this is where we focus actually most of our customer to make sure that they survive the current scenario. I think survival will lead to recovery. Most of the organization have started with 30%, 40%, 50% of their shop floor. Can I define my KPIs for this recovered model? Because right now I will not able to go to 100%, and if I try to plan everything for 100%, I may not able to really successful. So can I realign? Can I plan my ramp ups as per my plan? Can I define my KPIs and KRIs for the new plan, which is 30% or 50%? Can I assess what is that impact whether it's on my shop floor, whether it's my workforce, whether it's my distribution network, or it is the after sales is going to be. Can I redefine that impact? And of course, can I modify those plans and collaborate with the external world? It may be the collaboration with your suppliers, it may be collaboration with your customers, because everybody has an impact. And third, of course, how I can get back to and resume my 100% operation. And this is where I think the smart manufacturing, this is where my adaptive manufacturing or the smart factory concepts will help, whatever we have done with customers. I will share a couple of use cases what we are doing with our customers. Before that, these are some of the solutions what right now we have helped in last 2 months with few of our customers. The first, I think the foremost, all of us are focusing on employee safety. Government of India has come up with a lot of norms when you are starting your operation. So any employee who is visiting or entering your manufacturing facility or your offices, I think it's mandatory to monitor temperature. You have to keep a track of the temperature. If you found somebody who has elevated temperature, how you can screen them. So we develop a solution for one of our customer called as connected thermal screening. What it does, as soon as you enter, it takes your body temperature, and of course at the back end, it connects with almost everybody. So with the RFI tags which we are building on the employees, we are able to trace and track. God forbid, and suppose you found somebody who has tested positive, we will be able to track where this person has gone. He has gone to shop floor line number 1, line number 3, line number 4. He has gone to this office. He has gone to this bay. All that you will be trace and track. This will help you to prevent the major shutdown, because maybe as per norms, we can shut down for a day. You do sanitization and you are able to contact those people who have come in connect with that. But from this, we are helping customer to avoid their supply chain disruption. And again, there are multiple solutions. We have developed few platforms for few of our customer, how we can help them to automate that entire supply chain. And of course, now cash is the king. With emergence of these lot of RPA, which are robotic processes and machine learning and AI, we are actually analyzing and using those using those analytics platform to really help them to realign and renegotiate their contracts, so that there is a lot of cash in their hands, because for next 2-3 months, cash is going to be king. And of course, the entire after sales model is going to change. Can you do a lot of those things remotely? And I think Mr. Babu spoke that maybe next 2-3 months, again, physical travel will be restricted. But of course, we cannot let our customer suffer if there are any problems or there are any issues with our products or your machines or your services. Can we do some remote diagnostic? Can we give them remote field services? This is where I think the lot of customers are adopting. And this is nothing but actually, if you see, these are all elements of smart manufacturing. Whether somebody will go for entire ET, yes, they may be. Somebody will only go for employee safety, because right now, as I mentioned, I just wanted to resume my work. And with this, I wanted to share a few references, what work we have done. Now, this is one of the India-based large manufacturer of textile manufacturer, machinery. They had 3 challenges. They were not really clear about how their assets were utilized. They were not clear about uptime. There were rampant breakdowns, and they were not able to predict those. Second problem statement was the production costs were rising. They wanted to control those production costs. Unplanned downtimes, and sometimes it were critical assets, and you know the supply chain, you know the lead times, and in current scenario, those lead times have really gone in multiples. So maybe 30 days has become now 90 days, because the entire supply chain is disrupted. With this IoT-based smart factory solution, we help them to actually find out where are their assets, because I think most of manufacturers will agree the basic problem, we are not able to even identify where are my assets lying. So we help them to first identify their assets. We help them to identify how their assets are utilized. Whether my asset who is supposed to utilize for 90% and I'm only using 60%, it's the waste of my capex, it's waste of my opex. We help them to make sure that those assets are actually utilized close to their actual utilization levels. We also help them to identify and maintain predictive maintenance model. So the critical machines, we are able to give them now, okay, this machine will fail in next 30 days. This machine will fail in next 15 days. Or this operation shop floor line will be closed. Can you take some predictive action? Can I start my supply chain? Can I keep those some critical items in inventory? Those intelligence has given them, and of course the downtime has reduced almost by 80%, which is a big benefit for them. And of course, overall, this activity started getting visibility into their production lines, how their costs are moving, because now they're getting the utilization, they're getting the visibility into asset. Overall, this helped them to improve their customer satisfaction. It helped them to improve their production efficiency, and of course, naturally, it all led to their improvement in their overall cost model. They started passing on these benefits to few of their customers, some of the key customers. So when their machines are actually now going out to the customer location, and their customers are actually the textile manufacturer or the apparel manufacturer, these are going with this inbuilt solution. So remotely sitting at the manufacturing plant, they are actually monitoring the customer's shop floor, and this is giving them, okay, my machine may shut down in next 2 weeks. I have to inform my customer. I think they started taking those preactive or prescriptive or predictive decisions with this solution. So this was one of the solution what one of our customer in India has done. Uh, this is the one case we have already done for one of our auto supplier. This is a mid-size auto supplier where we implemented this manufacturing operation management or a shop floor optimization or whatever you call manufacturing execution system for almost their 48 injection molding machines, and there are almost 38 automated assembly machines. So what we did, they had a solution which are bits and pieces. And as I mentioned earlier, some of these machines are old machines. It's very difficult to even gather data because machines does not come with those facilities. But of course, we cannot say that just simply replace your machine. So we help them by implementing, by putting some sensors which were adaptable to the old machines and gathering data from those machines. We replaced their old, some of the solutions which were on the very old platform. The data flow was from one directional. So from machine to their ERP or their other system, it was done. Or from ERP system to the machine was done. But how we can do the bidirectional data? So what is happening at my machine or assembly line and what is happening actually in my real system, we made it bidirectional. We help them to actually do the real-time scheduling. So if my order in say X country is getting changed, how I can at the real time change the scheduling and I move instead of product A, I start producing product B. That is where I think we help them. And of course, what I spoke about the predictive maintenance, we moved one step further and we say how can we get them into integrated maintenance management. So instead of the specific machine or a critical asset, how we can add as overall the shop floor, we bring under our overall as an organization, including some of the assets which may not be critical. It may say fire engine or it may be your other asset which is not a critical asset. We brought under the maintenance management and we give the integrated view. So even that also has helped them to get overall issue. So right now they are able to get the real-time monitoring of the entire assets, entire shop floor, entire machinery. They brought a lot of automation. The biggest benefit they got is the compliance. Most of, as you know, the global customers, they have a lot of compliance issue. They wanted to make sure that you are complying to a lot of standard, whether if you are exporting to European Unions or exporting to say maybe Europe or US. If you are a life sciences or a pharma manufacturer, you have to follow those FDA norms and all that. I think this is what all we brought in picture, and we define those tolerances, and we make sure that they are never out of compliance or that tolerances. As soon as they are touching, those alerts are intimated, and my customers are able to take those corrective actions. And of course, I will not say, and I'll be telling a lie if I say that whether it is 100%, no. I think we are maybe around 60-70% in achieving whatever goals they wanted to achieve. I think this is where we'll have few of our customer. This is my last slide. As a Birlasoft, we are part of CK Birla Group. As you know, we are one of the oldest business house in the country, history of around 150, and we ourselves have almost 41 manufacturing plants. Birlasoft is the IT arm of the group, and of course, we do independent business. We are close to $500 million, typical IT service provider, but of course, we claim ourselves as one of the leader when it comes to digital. And last year, as most of you know, Birlasoft actually acquired KPIT's IT business. So now we have a lot of manufacturing as well, and of course, with our interest into automotive, interest into technology, interest into home building, we bring a lot of that benefit as well to our customer. So this is where I thought I will share my perspective, what we have come across as an organization when we are working with our customers both in India and globally as well. Over to you, Mr. Babu.
Thank you, Mr. Kadam. Your manufacturing model was lucid. We talked about digitization. We talked about digitalization and digital transformation. I think those steps would help the audiences understand the maturity model of what they need to go through. and also the case studies also bring its own value to the whole presentation. Thank you very much for putting up these case studies as well. So with this, I think we have come to the end of the session, and it is open to questions right now. And I would ask the audiences to type in their questions so that I can pass on to the panelists. So I think as we wait for questions, I have a question for Mr. Chaudhary. How far are we on this digital maturity model as far as MSMEs are concerned? Yes, I know the likes of Daimler and others have adapted to this, and they are large conglomerates, very comfortable moving forward with embracing digital. But on the ground, the MSMEs, what is your experience of seeing MSMEs adapting to digital?
Mr. Babu, I think thank you for your question. And I have had the opportunity of working with CII. Probably you're aware that we have a smart manufacturing platform very recently inaugurated at CII for all India. And Siemens is one of the partners of that collaboration companies. And in that perspective, we have had the opportunity of interacting with a lot of, let's call it SMB rather than MSME, and MSME being a subset of SMB. Let's include SMB, because beyond, I would say, let's say about 2,000 odd manufacturing organizations, from discrete to process the entire gamut. Beyond 2,000, they are just about a nose ahead or behind in terms of the maturity of adopting digital. So this is my experience. I'll just take a minute now. Experience says that most of the organizations are now knowledgeable. They are aware. Why is it relevant? Why is it important to adopt digital? What is the difference, like Sangram mentioned, digitization, which is just a conversion of a model to a drawing, digital drawing, or a written letter to Microsoft Word, or a table to a Excel. That is digitization, whereas digitalization is like process capture in a digital form, where a Uber kind of a business model can be born out of digitalization of payment gateway, credit card, GPS, and mapping solution put together. So that they have understood. They have, because of the effort of organizations like yourselves, CII, and many other such awareness. But, however, while notwithstanding the knowledge and awareness, the challenge, Mr. Babu, and I'm sure Sangram and they would agree, is something that lies with us, technology providers.
Absolutely.
We, in the process of to sell in terms of generating revenue, we position technology as a God's gift to mankind. Whereas technology in itself, Mr. Babu, is easily buyable. You can go out in the market and buy technology. Like, you can buy your dishwasher. My mother and my father, about 40 years ago, when we were very ordinary, we used to struggle for everything in India, they bought me a electrical aircraft as a game, which is to blink lights and move from one place to another. And then my mother brought it home and put it in plastic and put it on top of the almirah, saying, "Oh, toot jayega." That is how our technology is today. Unless technology is embedded in our daily life, and that means how it impacts our process. And most of the CEOs and people who want to invest, are very disillusioned with people like us, and we have to agree to that, sir. We today are not doing justice to the investment. I would say investment centric mindset of an investor to be able to tell him what is going to be your business value, which I think they've very clearly brought out in every slide. What is the business value? And if we can prioritize our business value and therefore see which technologies can encourage the business value to be achieved. However, business value without a responsibility of using the technologies of no meaning. So there has to be people who have to be empowered. I mean, how many cases, Mr. Babu, and I'll leave it at that, CEOs have said, I want to improve my productivity by 20%. Very good. How? How? Can we do a discussion on how? Who is the owner? What is the time frame within which we have to improve? What is the weekly KPI cadence that we would review with? Unless we have the how, it is very, very challenging to trust the output of technology. Does that answer your question? I do not think so. But it's a good question and a good engagement that we should get into.
Absolutely, absolutely. For the honest, take on this question. Okay, that's what is more important.
Mr. Babu, can I add to what Gautam mentioned?
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead.
So I think I cannot agree more than what Mr. Gautam mentioned. I think I was just correlating this with what's happening around in COVID. We even hearing the number of patients, patient number. I think nobody is giving attention to how many are recovering. I think that is where I think we as IT industry or technology companies are. I think we are giving only the numbers with technology, but as rightly Mr. Gautam mentioned, we are not going the how part. And at the same time, we are not seeing that adoption by the SMB or the CEOs. Everybody has a vision. Everybody wanted, I think all my conversations, they will say, we are using digital. We are using digital. But how, when it comes to that, I think everybody just takes a step back. And I think that's problem with us as well. We have glorified so much digital, now it has become like a most abused word. And I think that is where we as an industry, and I think all of us need to work together so that the benefit is passed to the lowest level of the small manufacturer who is actually maybe having one single lathe machine and is manufacturing for a small supplier.
So, Mr. Babu, I'd like to draw your attention to CII Smart Manufacturing Platform as a maturity assessment model. I would encourage people who are on this call to reach out to CII and ask, can I do a maturity assessment for myself so that I can first step come out with a gap analysis. Okay, this is what I want to do in 1 year. This is what I want to do in 3 years. What are the areas that I prioritize and go forward? Your organization itself has it, but how many of us have actually gone ahead and done the assessment is the question.
Exactly. So on that take, there is also another question that's come up. Primarily, there's someone asking, how do you see the ROI in digitalization when compared to investing in new expansions and projects? Very open-ended question. So
I think the answer was already given. The ROI is based on what you give it as to take it as a milestone target, and then there is no God's gift to mankind. Oh, you know what? I would do this, and everything will become all right. Garbage in, garbage out. I think somebody used this word in this last 15 minutes. His last 15 minutes, I think Sangram used it, or maybe they've used it. If you put in garbage, it will be garbage out. So if I do not have what we call a SMART goal, specific, measurable, time bound, and unless we put a SMART goal against the investment and then check out the ROI, I think it will always be, oh, you know what, I bought a CNC machine, but let me tell you an example. CNC machine, one of the earliest introduction of digital in our world. 40 years ago, we used CNC machine. How many times have you seen a technician sitting on the CNC machine and running the machine at 20% override? Okay, me and you have sat down, referred to handbooks. We have studied 7 years engineering, and we have come out with a speed, feed, depth of cut combination for a particular material and tool, and fed it as a program. And here is one technician, Raju, sitting at a 20% override. Ask him why. He said tool toot jayega. What do you mean by tool toot jayega? I have programmed it, man. Nahi tootega. 100% mein chalao. Utilization as 20%. An expensive machine like CNC machine. How will you achieve ROI unless we do it to this nitty gritty and ensure that our decision is right decision? It's a measured decision. Don't run at 20%. Run at 100%. Run at 110%. Give us a feedback on mistake when it breaks, so that next time I can, take corrective action. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Dave, a question to you. Can you talk about establishing a smart inventory system? How does digitization or digitalization help in setting up a smart inventory system?
Sure. So very interesting question, and I think that's something which is need of the hour, because a lot of companies are struggling with inventory liquidation as we speak. With all this COVID-19 scenario, inventory liquidation has become a key aspect as well, and how do we manage in this pandemic? So one of the basic aspects as we look at it is one aspect around the whole connected factory or smart factory, as we talk about, where we capture the basics, right? Where the other panelists have also thrown light on that. So once we have the base data, which means that we have the WIP inventory also. And then from the overall SI and OP perspective, the whole supply chain optimization side, we also have to look at it from that dimension so that we are able to capture the holistic inventory scenario. And that's another change, I think, which we all need to put in our minds. A lot of organizations have already done. Instead of SNOP, SI and OP. Because it's not just sales and operational planning, but inventory also needs due importance. So as we transit to that bit, as we have the respective systems to capture my progress, I will have a real-time inventory, which I obviously can do a physical validation at times and keep it handy and use it in multiple dimensions. That's what I would say. But interesting, and we'll be happy to take that offline and more specific as well.
Absolutely. So one last question before we let you all go is, digital is good as long as it works. But when digital breaks down, it is very, very costly and it is very, very time consuming. So is there any sense to this statement?
I don't think the second half of the statement is correct, sir. Digital is one of the most inexpensive investments of last 150 years of industrial revolution. Go back in time and ask yourself how much investment we made when we first set up a factory 100 years ago, or how much time and effort it took for my first ERP implementation in 1980, 1985, before the internet technology came in, before the cloud came in, and before the small, I think, Dave mentioned and Sangram mentioned, how inexpensive today and how easy it is to put a sensor, and how easy it is to have a cloud-based analytics app to drive and understand. You know what the challenge is? Challenge is not the sensor. Challenge is where to put the sensor. Absolutely. And where to put the sensor will not be Gautam Datta or Mr. Babu or Dev Ramchandani or Sangam to Sangram to tell people. It is the people knowing their business, understanding their business processes, and understanding the sensitivity, or what we call is the levers of those processes. If we know our levers, then we will put our sensor at where the hot point for the lever is and collect our data analytics and collect and see our dashboard and respond in real time. I think we don't do that, and then we need a fall entity, fall guy, and the fall guy becomes digital, because digital cannot respond by saying it's not my fault. You didn't know where to use this.
Perfect. Okay. On that note, I think
thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Gautam,
thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mr. Babu.
Mr. Sangram. Thank you very much for those engaging sessions, and I think there is a lot of takeaway for the audiences. Very practical examples, lucid explanations, on the ground, honest feedback. Thank you again. So
thank you so much.
Thanks everybody. Thank you, CI.
Shiva, continue.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, speakers, panelists. We are now switching over for the next session. Allow us a couple of minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. We are now having panelists Mr. Dev Ramchandani and Mr. Abhijit. Mr. Dev will be beginning the session as Mr. Abhijit will be joining in. Mr. Dev, would you like to take it over?
Hello.
Mr. Dev, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you may kindly begin the session. Mr. Abhijit will be joining in.
Sure. Just allow me a minute to share my slides. Okay. Please let me know once my presentation is visible to you.
We can start, Mr. Dev.
Hello. Are my slides visible?
Yeah, your slides are visible. We can start.
Okay, sure. Please do give me a heads up once Abhijit is also with us.
Mr. Abhijit is will be able to speak. We are just getting.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I am in Dev.
Perfect. Right. So thanks everyone. So what we intended to do in this session was to walk you through some of the case examples and specifically case examples from the region. So we didn't want to go and talk about our Japanese case examples or European or American case examples, but we wanted to talk about stuff from the subcontinent and how this journey has been. Because some of this is very interesting, right? Some of these aspects you come to know only when you go through these journeys in detail. And the intent was to share some highlights of that. So the three cases which we have for you are one with a off-the-track tire manufacturer, another one with a transformer manufacturer, and the third one with a diversified natural resources company. All these three in different dimensions. So I would say the second one with the transformer manufacturer is more purely a connected operations one, while the first one is around traceability, connected operations, and also heading towards predictive quality. The last one is more around corporate visibility and how do we go about with the decision support mechanism. So all three, in my view, should definitely throw more light on how these journeys have been and how do you need to adopt to it to achieve what the final intent is. With this, I'll request Abhijit if you could walk us through.
Sure, Dev. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So, Dev, can we move to the next slide?
Yes, I am on the tire manufacturer case. First slide around challenges.
Sure. So this particular tire manufacturer, as Dev was mentioning, is in the off-road tire manufacturing segment, which typically has equipment like our earth-moving equipments, and then we have forklifts and so on. So where applications are not on the road, but they are in different parts apart from the road that we have. And what they were facing is a host of challenges. So we all know about, specification limits, right? So even when a tire is produced, there is a specification limit for the weight of the tire that is there. Now, when we look at the cost of a tire, almost 80% of the total cost can be attributed to the raw material cost, which is the rubber. And when we look at the limits, what we would imagine is to try to keep the weight of the tire between the lower specification, as close to the lower specification limit as possible, so that we can save on the material cost. But what problem the client was facing over here is their very high consumption. They had almost 2% of the RM, which was about specification limit, which represented a significant loss for them. Similarly, if we look at the part of the quality, they had a significant number of customer complaints, and a lot of it could not be traced back from where they originated. So in fact, they also had a rework of about 65% in the finished good. Yeah, I know it sounds very high, but we also need to look at it from a lens where I think there was a fair bit of manual operations that was involved, and the number of equipment in each stage was significantly high. So what we can see on the right hand side is stage 2, stage 3 on the top, which is tire building, tread rolling, as well as the C boxes that you can see, C1 to C10. So this is just a representation, but these are curing presses in which the tire takes its final shapes. And with a significant number of curing presses, I would say in the range of about 100 of them, it was really difficult to find out where a particular type of defect had originated. So the client was also facing difficulties in figuring out that which particular machine needs to be addressed for the deviations that they were facing. So in a nutshell, I think there were two main areas of focus for the client, which is for the manufacturer, which is basically to reduce, first of all, to reduce the rework that they were facing, and obviously address the customer complaints arising out of it, both on the quality lever, and then on the cost lever, it was about the yield, which was on the lower side, or rather they were giving away too much of their raw material. And the complications we have already covered. So if we look here, what we were looking at is yes, Dave, we can go to the next slide. We are looking at the variation in the 4M parameters, right? The people, process, material, as well as the information. And those were having an impact on everything, right from the right first time, the digital documentation, the downtime, the OE measurement. So I would say in terms of the maturity, of the digital in digitalization, so they were in need of something very basic. So we can say that the level 1, 2, and 3, what has been highlighted on the slide on the lower left, about connecting and visualizing the information. So connect the different systems, connect the equipment that is being used, and then visualize the real-time parameters, the different operating parameters of the machines, whether the method is getting followed correctly or not, as well as which manpower is getting associated. In effect, to have a visibility on 4M, which is a part of our traceability. And obviously to go down to analysis to see where we would be able to what are the different reasons that are causing the poor quality, or which are the stages where the raw material giveaway is on the higher side. So this, in nutshell, is what the problem and the solution was. We actually envisaged the usage of advanced analytics, as Dave was mentioning. We are in a journey where we are moving towards predictive analytics in terms of quality. So it's basically trying to understand that if we have a specific kind of raw material, so all incoming raw material is tested for different properties, and then we also have the specifications of the different processes that it has undergone. So based on a combination of all of these aspects, we are now working towards building an algorithm which will help predict or give an outcome which says whether the quality of a particular tire will be okay or not okay based on just the input parameters or variables that it has undergone. So there are multiple stages, and the intent is to build an algorithm in such a way that we are able to do an early detection of possible quality deviation. So what it helps is we are able to avoid the over processing that can happen because of a potential fault that is anyway going to be found out in the tire because of its already completed processing. So this is what we have been doing, and will request Dave to take us to the next slide, where we have some samples of what how the solution deployed looks like. So I think more in terms of what we had done, we started off with an analysis. So again, the approach was to kind of not directly go into a particular problem area and start deploying. We actually went through the entire shop floor and found out where the interventions would make the most sense. So if you look at the first step that we did a dipstick assessment where we wanted to identify what were the baselines and what would be the business priorities. Obviously, we came up with the same challenges that I have explained before, but that was also done in a scientific way. It was not just a blanket implementation saying that let's try to automate everything, let's try to connect all of the machines, let's try to get all of the information and see where we go. I mean, that kind of approach used to be followed by a lot of manufacturers at the beginning of this, when the digital transformation or the industry 4.0 was new. And many of the, I would say, companies have experienced this disillusionment when they went ahead and did an investment, but they could not get any specific outcome. A simple reason being that they did not have any specific problem in mind. They thought, let's see how it goes and figure out if we can get any benefit out of this. And hence, I believe this analysis or assessment is a very important step, and which is where I think we are able to, I would say, zero in on problem areas and then develop solutions to address those problem areas. So once we did that, we came up with those same pointers, which is the right first time was as low as 65%, and about 0.5 million USD per year was being lost on account of the average RM giveaway that was happening beyond our within the specification limits, but yes, still on the higher side. And hence we went with the second step, which was the proof of value. So proof of value, the way we define it, and reiterating what Dave would have mentioned, is to say that it's not a proof of concept. So nobody wants to see whether a particular concept works or not. We all know that when we start taking data from the equipment, we will be able to visualize what the losses are. We will also be able to see various processing parameters and so on. The more important part is we need to understand whether this kind of visualization or data collection or analysis is going to help the operations or not. And hence we want to call it out as a proof of value state. So in this case, we developed the 100% of the solution and implemented at 5% of the assets. So the intent was to establish that the solution delivers for the intended value. And this basically, once the I would say the success of the solution was obviously the numbers, but for us in particular as partners in this in the journey for the manufacturer, when there was a review of the solution by the client management, the best part was when the team took the initiative to kind of try to explain the solution. And at this particular point in time, the operator on the shop floor intervened, said that he wanted to explain the solution to us. I think that was a big moment for us, because that was the time that we knew that the solution is really a success, because the operator to the who is the lowest level, who works day in day out of the equipment, is convinced about the solution and is also enthusiastic to see the solution work and which is problems. So that was the POV that we had done, and from there on we went on to implement this for 300 more machines, which are being used by about 1,500 different associates who are working on these on the production floor. We have eliminated about 125 manual documents, which represents about 50% of the manual work that was getting done. So all that has now moved to a digital format, and the outcome has been that the daily schedule. There was long value added activities at different levels within the organization. So something as simple as drawing up a daily schedule used to take 3 hours, and now that is 15 minutes, because our solution is also helping them kind of do the planning on the digital in the digital format, the allocation of manpower, the allocation of work orders across equipment. Further, because of digital data that was being maintained, the inventory reconciliation on the floor got reduced to the time taken was reduced from 2 hours to 10 minutes, and hence could be done more frequently. I think the downstream effect of this particular benefit was that the gaps between the physical and the system inventory has come down significantly, and I think over a period of time, I believe it would come to zero. Now, I'm not sure how much interesting this sounds, but we have observed in numerous shop floors operations that the matching of physical inventory to the system inventory is a big headache. So any kind of deviation is kind of an accounting nightmare. So I think with this kind of solutions, IoT solutions that we have these days, it's a very good thing that we are able to align, match these inventory levels. Apart from that, we had the TLBO is Team Leader Based Organization, which is their philosophy of working, in which they are capturing their daily performance on some dashboards. So again, that was digitalized. So the performance management came onto the digital platform, and about 4 hours per shift were saved on this. And not only this, as a part of continuous improvement, this particular manufacturer was able to establish that culture, because now data was more handy. Operators were felt more empowered to have a look at what are the contributing reasons and the outcome. So their interest in the improvement journey became more and more, and the overall continuous improvement became a very inclusive kind of an initiative at this particular client. Dave, any thoughts from your side?
Thanks, Abhijit. So just to add on and maybe give you a flavor to what Abhijit mentioned, see, in this whole use case, again, why it was interesting, because it basically changed the way of life for a lot of these people. So when we say 1,500 associates leveraging the system, they all moved from capturing stuff in paper formats to HMIs. So that's where this HMI screen came into play. So we used HMIs, we used barcodes. We also went through the whole journey of HMI screens not working at times, barcodes having particular challenges, the scanning not happening if you're doing at a faster rate. All those challenges came on, but they went through that. The whole reason being they were glued into the improvement objective, and the continuous improvement team of this client was working hand in hand with us. And that's where they designed the analysis which they wanted to look at. So if you look the particular SKU, what is the trend of weight variability? And we have Abhijit also talked about this weight variability, but how to kind of control. So just to bring it more to life, I would say the whole thread rolling operation was manual. And what was happening is when they are adding rubber, the operator is adding rubber, he is physically checking. And if there is a deviation at that stage, he will only come to know after the cured tire had come out. That was the existing mechanism. Plus, the ease was not there to also map up with the defined SOPs. So what is for this particular SKU or this particular tire, what is the amount of weight I need to add? He was aware by experience. It was not something which was always given to him. So there were screens which were put up in the shop floor next to the tread rolling stations, which were throwing live data, also talking about what is the deviation which is happening, so that an early course correction can be done. So there were deviations, but the course correction happened faster. Hence, there were not enough lots which went into it. And that was one of the key reasons in terms of the improvements which we were achieved. And also, this is something which is an ongoing journey, has been on for now, I would say, more than 1.5, 2 years. And they're now moving into the predictive cycle. I would say the level 1, level 2 part is completed, and they're moving into the predictive journey now. We'll move on to the second one, which is for the transformer manufacturer. And I'll just maybe give a brief context or share a small story before I request Abhijit to talk through further. So this journey started in a very interesting manner. So we were having a chat with the VP Innovation there, and who happened to be the Chief Digital Officer. And the discussion was going on in a manner that, okay, when I order, and that's something which is true for all the platforms which we use these days, we have been spoiled for more details, right? So if you order something, you know what is the current status of that. If you even order something from like a 400, 500 rupee thing, or even a 50 rupee thing, you would come to know, okay, this is something which is in progress. Some guy is picking it up. When he has picked it up, when is it reaching you? In the case of transformers, he was saying, so when someone is ordering a 50 rupee thing, getting that level of visibility, my customer are spending lakhs on ordering transformers, yet when they call me up and check, okay, where is my transformer currently in your manufacturing station? I don't know. And I have to probably go and check with 10 people, and then I am able to figure out what is the current stage. Will I be able to honor the delivery time which I have shared or not? That was kind of the genesis of this. Just to give you a context where the journey started, and then how do we create visibility for that and avoid challenges. Yes, Abhijit, over to you.
Sure. Thank you. So further on, when we did hear from the management team that they would want to have a visibility, we went back to the shop floor, did our own assessment, and when we tried to deep dive into what were the challenges that were causing obstacles in adherence to the delivery dates. By the way, when the client said that he wanted a visibility on where the transformer is, it was not only about going back to the client and committing on a due date. I think in this particular part of the business, there were also penalty clauses attached to it. So the larger problem was not only did this manufacturer end up paying penalties, they also did not have much visibility on what would be the quantum of the penalty, given that they had no idea where a particular order had reached in the overall journey of its manufacturing. So this was basically a job shop where we had engineered to order products with multiple varieties. There were the schedule adherence was only 93% against a target of 98%. About 5% of jobs had quality issues. There were overtime costs, obviously, because the penalty costs were higher. It used to be a mad rush to complete a particular order just when its delivery date was approaching. And complicating all of this scenario was the existence of manual processing. So we had manual logbooks, and the quality was noted manually. The status of the jobs was noted manually. There were difficulties in validating the statuses, and hence there was no clear picture of the production status. And when we come back to quality, there was no record that was existing for the team to work upon and improve. So based on this, what we did is we went on for again our four-step approach was which was to create the vision and blueprint, identify the financial return, and then transform the systems and create a new digitally enabled business performance. So overall, we were looking at about a couple of weeks for the first two steps and about 20 weeks for the next two. So about in a 5 months time, we were envisaging that the client should be able to transform from their current state of having no visibility to having a significant visibility across entire operations. So that also had its own set of, I would say, steps. There was integration with the core business objectives and the ongoing improvement initiatives. So I think this is one particular part that is not often discussed well when digital projects are being envisaged. And one of the problems that that comes across when we do this is this. So you have, let's say, 4 ongoing projects for lean implementation or some improvement going on the shop floor, and then digital is added as an additional project. The issue with this kind of an approach is that all of the projects then come on a similar level, and there is no particular synergy or thought process given as to how each project affects the other. And when we talk about digital, we are actually fundamentally changing the way information is getting captured and even sometimes how the process is being run. So it has a very crucial impact on any of the existing processes. So what we believe is that any continuous improvement activities that are ongoing should be thoroughly considered whenever we go for any kind of digital intervention. The other aspects of the solution was to have an open architecture so that it can be scalable. Even if we add more number of modules to it, so for example, we want to have analytics or prediction algorithms. We want to have, let's say, some module for energy management. We want to get, which entails integration of energy meters, or there is addition of some sensors or any other system application that needs to be integrated that can come in. So this is also a very important consideration because we need to think long term. The solution should not be so that it is kind of doing a local optimization while and the global optimization suffers because of the solution. Because if the system is self, I would say it's a module in itself which does not integrate with anything else, it will render the entire digital transformation holistically difficult. It will just be efficient to run the problem statement that it has been designed to do. But if we look at an overall journey and we want to extend the benefit or integrate the system, it will not give the desired benefits. Moving on, there was the particular aspect of the sustainability. So we did our health checks, we did our capability building, that has been part. But more importantly, coming on to the shop floor topic, what we did is to create a visual in which they would be able to track each job order, where each of the transformer production has reached. Obviously, the production is also divided across various stages, so you could click any particular order and go down to its sub-activity level and see what is the level of completion there. And this is what I would say that Swiggification of the delivery in the transformer manufacturing floor. Here also, what we did had a significant impact in terms of the scale. We had about 500 people who were there in the transformer operations, transformer operations. So we had about 350 operators, 50 people from design, sales, management, stores, 30 from the production supervisory team, about 15 from quality team, and a lot more from the contractual workforce, which is also deployed in this particular shop floor. So all in all, the solution impacted the entire value chain, so to say. And I would stick my neck out and say that whoever, the management team who wanted a visibility on how their orders are, got that. And the next step that they were envisioning, that is on track to provide customers also a view into how their order is progressing. So I think that's about it. Dave, any more pointers from your side?
Thanks, Abhijit. So I think you covered it pretty well. So this is some bit around how the impact realization happened, how they went into productivity improvement. But more than that, what I would want to share for now is what is important is to model the exception paths. End of the day, when we are talking about a digital system, it's very easy to look at the standard paths, but there are so many exception handling things which we do manually, which realization does not happen very immediately. So that's where involving the right functional people and kind of putting those as the relevant aspects which need to be taken care. So in this particular aspect, what we did, we created a happy path and we created a not so happy path as well. That's how we had termed it there. So happy path is the standard way in which the operation would happen. But if I am going for a hold release aspect in quality, or there are multiple other challenges where rework is coming in, how do I handle those? So those are elements which are also equally important. And once we do that, there are so many side benefits which also come. So like in this scenario, we had not envisaged for overtime reduction, which also came in as an additional benefit for the client. Right, so these were kind of, again, some more snippets of what visibility the plant had got. And is there any question? Okay, so this is again just a simple visibility which the plant head got, which the supervisor got, and which the operators got at the shop floor level. With, again, in this scenario, it was tablets and televisions. And on the lighter note, it also went through initial stages of how do I preserve my tablet charging cable, right? So those are kind of simple challenges which happen when you go about with deployment. With this, we'll move on to the last one. Abhijit, over to you.
Sure. Thank you. So the last one is about a large conglomerate in natural resources. I think the company has grown through a set of acquisitions, which has culminated in them having several business units, and the management, the top management, including the chairman and the group CEO. What they were facing is the daily review that they did for the performance of the entire company was only through Excel sheets. Yeah, to my mind, it sounded pretty. I thought it was pretty a pretty immature kind of a scenario where about a $12 billion company, the management is reviewing through Excel. But it's when I went to the depth of it, it did not seem as surprising because we do a lot of investment in trying to visualize the performance in a particular setup at a plant level, even sometimes at a company level. But when we really look at very complex kind of scenarios, very little investment is seen in terms of how do we look at an integrated performance system. So this was the basic problem that this company was facing. There were about 3 to 4 strategic business units with about 10 reporting entities. So it was difficult to correlate the operating conditions and the business performance. You imagine there was a daily Excel shown. So if somebody wanted to see a trend for a week or a month, or wanted to compare a performance of today to something that was, let's say, a month back or a year back, it was really difficult. So every day, for every request or in every kind of scenario that the management wanted to assess, it went back to the MIS team, who would then work for 2 or 3 days, going through the different Excel sheets, historical Excel sheets, trying to pull together a report which will be helpful to the client. To the management team. And obviously, one of the key outcomes of this is that decision making becomes pretty long. the lead time for decision making becomes longer. You cannot respond to changing market dynamics in a agile manner. And then the last point was, yes, there was also lack of stakeholder buy-in, as in everybody has their own reporting system. So, and everyone is comfortable with making their own MIS in Excel. So that change management was also an important part of this engagement. So the approach that we took was to do some amount of design thinking. So the first thought that comes to mind is that we have Excel-based systems. Why don't we just digitalize those things and we start seeing what we want to see? But the thing to consider is in Excel we can see, let's say 200. We can create 100-row Excel and you can keep on browsing through the Excel. But when you move to a digital mode, each particular screen has its own importance, and you would want to see what is most relevant. So we put on our hats as the chairman, the group CEO of the company, and try to think of what they would want to see as their key performance indicators. So need not see everything right at the same time. That's where a lot of design thinking went in. We figured out where we should use, let's say, some monthly trend charts, where we should show daily numbers, where we should show some quarterly aggregations, because that's important for a listed company, and so on. And the other part was to use gamification to address the change management part. So obviously, one was to identify what the stakeholders need to see, and that needs to be developed in the same manner as it is envisaged. The next part is to get adoption going. So what we did is to have a set of reports being generated on a daily basis. Each of the business entities were ranked in terms of their compliance to the data that was being shared, the correctness of data, and so on. So this kind of created a need for the digital performance management to kind of gather traction and gather steam during this project. The business outcome was they were now able to assess performance against plans across different time periods. They were able to save significant amount of time. So I would go ahead and say that probably now the top management was saving at least 50% of the time just looking at their critical KPIs rather than going through a whole list of Excel sheets scrolls to find out what they want. And yes, because of faster decision making, what the client is envisaging is increasing their profitability, because now they can see they can take decisions faster and respond to the market in a faster manner. What I'll do quickly in the next few slides is explain what are some of the features of such performance management system. So this, as I said, was a conglomerate. They had some market facing and business statistics like the metal rates on that on different exchanges, and for the chairman or the CEO, we had this particular view where he could see his all key business KPIs for each of the business units in a nutshell on a single page. So this is two SBUs that we have come up with. On the actual dashboard, we had about 6 business units that were represented. Moving on, I'll speak more of the features that were there. There was navigation for historical information. There were safety KPIs that were displayed, because safety is a big thing in the natural resources. And then we've also found out appropriate visualization for each KPI, which I was mentioning, right? So as I was saying, if it was just a replication of the Excel sheets, we would have tables all across. But as you can see here, we had some daily production trends. We had some we had some KPIs which were just reported on a daily basis, not as a trend. And then we had some monthly KPIs. So if you see on the top right, there is something like Brent versus NSR versus cost. So this is nothing but pertaining to the oil business, how they are doing with net sales realization versus cost on a monthly basis. Next. In addition, they could also do some scenario analysis. So what this was is this this was regarding production from different sub business units that this particular business had. So if somebody wanted to see the effect of increasing production or the rate of production, etc., what would be the impact on the final thing that we could visualize? So again, this helps the management to navigate through scenarios as to what kind of numbers they will meet in case of some exigencies, or how they can kind of create the incentives for the entire team to work to increase production. So all related to business outcomes, the scenarios could be visualized here. Next. Yeah, and yeah, we could have different levels, different KPIs and different visualizations for different levels, and that we could achieve. I would just like to conclude with the success factors for this kind of an exercise, what we have seen. So what is required is a pinpoint focus. So while digitalizing performance management, we should not go with 100% that is being done on a manual basis or in some existing system. We need to have targeted KPIs for each level. The second thing is we need to have an information lineage with structural changes. So what happens is, if there are too many exchanges of data, so for example, I'm capturing my equipment information from a PLC and that is downloaded into Excel sheets, and that in turn is kind of copied into another system or entered into SAP from which a report is derived. So we have a lot of information handshakes. So one thing is that information lineage needs to be established and also needs to be made very robust, so that the right numbers go to the management. One of the key factors that we had to consider in this particular project is the data errors. So in Excel, data errors could be pardoned in some manner, but the way the digital system was perceived is anything that is seen on the screen as a system should have perfect data, even if it is coming through a different information lineage. So that was another important part that we did with this particular client. We had dedicated team members who would do data sanity checks and follow up with the individual businesses to ensure that the right kind of information was flowing for the top management. So that is about it for this particular client. I think performance management is one thing where digital can help in a very, I would say, positive manner, because when everything is from the when KPIs are I would say, when it is in a digital format, the KPIs cannot be questioned, and that sets up a basis of fact-based discussion across functions and across levels, and that is important as a single source of truth for any organization. So thank you very much. Over to you, Dave.
Thanks, Abhijit. I think the last message which I would want to just reiterate here is that there are enough organizations who are embarking on this journey, achieving benefits as well. So if you are probably thinking and wondering that should I embark, should I not embark, there are enough ways and means for you to go ahead and take the plunge and realize benefits in a structured manner. Back to the CII team.
Thank you, Mr. Dev and Mr. Abhijit, for your presentation today in this session. So we have few announcements for the attendees. We'll be breaking the session for lunch now, and the next session login will be available at 2 o'clock in the Hive platform. The session will start at 2:15 p.m. today. So request all the participants to join at that time. And I would also like to inform that the conference materials like speaker profiles and the delegate kit documents are available in the CII library of the Hive platform. This is available for download, which you can use to download. And I would also like to inform that our partners virtual stall is available in the Hive platform. Their solutions are on for display. So request all the participants to go there and drop in your queries. Participants can also use the B2B lounge available in the Hive platform to interact with other delegates of the conference. So with this, we will close this session, and I would request you to join at 2 o'clock. And the login link will be available in the Hive platform again next to the agenda. Thank you very much.